He just takes off and is, oh, where am I going now? And his teammates don't know.
As a leading forward, it can be quite frustrating, but I'd lock down.
So, yes, they will.
He's the best and fairest winner last year. I'd say he'd be in front again this year. He's an outstanding player and critical to the Gold Coast Suns winning this game.
Well, Big Sam Day's lobbed up forward. Jonathan Marsh is going to him as Brownie. There's Harbrow.
The most familiar with this part of the world as well. The former Townsville grammar boy for a little while there. Obviously out of Cairns as well, but he played some junior footy here as well with the Hermit Park Tigers. Away we go in Townsville. First time 4 competition points have been on the line in this part of the world. And out towards Hall and Smith, playing on a wing. Back to Brody, who was impressive last week. Little chip from McPherson wide. Didn't find his man, but Holman has time to try and spear it inside 50 towards King. Holman on the follow-up, and there's a challenge in the goal square, and it's fisted through for the first score.
They've rolled the dice, the Suns. They've gone big with Day, Wright and King all in the forward 50 at the start of the game.
Other end, you've got Memory being picked up by Ballard, and also interesting that teammates from yesteryear. Josh Bruce has been picked up by Homshi.
And Ballard couldn't affect the spoil on Membry. It was an aggressive kick right down the middle. You don't see that too often this early in a game.
And strong hands. That's a really good contested grab.
So everyone went straight away from him. Nobody came on the 45, so that's kicks 3 or 4 seconds late then.
And Battle playing forward this afternoon after playing a lot of footy down back so far this season. Now it's Dunstan who's worked his way back into the senior side in recent weeks. Plenty of zinc cream out there this afternoon as well. Backing back and unable to take the mark for St Kilda. It was Kent. And there's a free kick given away by Kent.
You would have had a look over the vision. The first quarter last week against Port Adelaide in Shanghai, they slaughtered the ball going inside 50. They just bombed away and intercept mark too often.
They weren't too bad winning it either.
No, they got it.
First game of the year for this guy, Sam Day. Back to Martin.
First game and an extremely important game for his career, I would have thought.
Oh, drop mark by Powell. And the fumble cost him. And Billings able to keep it in only briefly.
Looking forward to Big Sam Day, see how he goes. We've seen over the years playing the key post at either end of the ground. You thought he would have been a natural inclusion early in the season down back.
I thought it would have been a walk-up.
Yeah.
But look, he had that horrific a thigh hip injury.
Dislocated hip 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2017 in the JLT.
Word is, Lynchy, too, he's dropped about 4 or 5 kilos coming into this week as well, so he's really had to work hard to get his spot back.
Well, that is good, and that's probably reinforces the modern game. You just can't have the big, heavy key post players anymore because you've got to cover that much territory. So it was put on him, and he's done a good job to get back.
That's that first quarter you were talking about in the lower box there.
Yep. Here's King, and he's able to stick it as the entry came from Lockie Weller, and this guy has really jumped out of the pack in the last few weeks.
Yeah, we know he's got talent. Like his brother, both young men are capable of reaching the ball at great height off the ground. Just got trapped behind, playing on the back shoulder there, Nathan Brown, and just couldn't get to the drop. It actually dropped fairly steeply.
3 goals, 2 so far in his 4 previous games. From right on 50, Ben King has the Townsville fans excited for a moment, but it drifts near side. It's a shame that his brother didn't debut in this game. It would have been a great storyline. Max isn't too far away.
He's very, very close, but still a fair bit to learn. My recommendation is don't play him yet.
Oh, no. He's one of your biggest assets over the next decade.
Yeah, so don't screw it up now.
No.
The fans are seeing all the goals that he's kicking in VFL level and thinking, why not get him in there?
Be patient.
Not quite ready. Be patient, yeah.
And you're doing a lot of work around the club, or 1 day a week at least, with the forwards, Derm?
Yeah, I am. Let's have a look at this Shepherd that just comes here. Just a little check. Brown didn't really get him, sort of more of a block there. Yeah, he's got so much to learn. As I said, he's so close ability-wise, but there's a fair bit about patterns and the likes that he needs to learn before he's, up to mark.
Miles crashing in, and he gives away the free kick after copping that earlier one.
It's great to get an insight from the St Kilda forward whisperer on our commentary team. Just goes in, gives a bit of knowledge.
Just seeing Lukosius here at the moment, he's only got the 1 boot on.
That's going to hurt.
You wouldn't have walked past him and stomped on by any chance, would you?
A misplaced step.
Billings goes long to Bruce, who's got Ballard picking him up at the moment. Membry's all alone. if Bruce could have worked it a little further forward.
I will say one thing, I'll give it a little bit of trade secret out here. Joshy Bruce is moving the best I've seen him move all year in the last week.
As Lukosius has put in the shoe back on until someone, before someone like Durham walks past.
That's the problem with these dry games. You don't get to wear long stops.
So Akers, quick hands to Ross. And getting across is Ballard. He wants it to go across the boundary line. No intent to keep it in, but he'll get away with that one.
They've been under siege back in that defensive 50 all season. They've hung in there
though,
really well. He's been super impressive. As the third tall interceptor down back, he's had a good year.
Chance for St Kilda to hit the scoreboard here, but Miles has a little bit of room now in amongst traffic. Membry trying to gather. And Powell applying the tackle on Billings, who dropped it in the end, and the umpire says he'll have it.
So the more we change the game, the more it stays the same. Look at those red jerseys there. There's 13 of them in there within 20 metres of the stoppage.
Yep.
Outnumbering St Kilda as Witts trying to bring it down. It breaks the way of Fiorini, a ball magnet, averaging a team-high 28 disposals this season. Well, Martin down the boundary line to Peter Wright.
Beautifully worked by the Suns out there. Martin could have blazed away.
So what they've done with the three bigs now allows another target here after Wright takes that mark up on the wing.
King trying to get it at ground level after it slipped through the hands of Sexton. Umpire trying to let it roll.
So what you see now on the rear of screen there, Nathan Brown, because see him there on the right-hand side of the screen, he allowed King to go the ball. That's why King took that mark, because they don't want to let the Suns get goal side.
And again, the Suns have the numbers here. Martin scooped it back towards Miles, who played for the free kick, and he got it as Parker was a little reckless coming in.
And those sort of defensive tactics reinforces to teams, you've got to pass the ball 40 metres, so hit the target. Just don't bomb away to where the opposition is set up.
Well, that's what they want.
Yep.
Witts the target in amongst the pack. McPherson off hands. And out of there by St Kilda, perhaps only briefly, as Joyce flicks it to Miles. McPherson, handball over the top to Fiorini. Good strength to work it back to Weller.
Nice.
Into the corridor towards Harbrow. Big up and under. Good luck marking this one. St Kilda getting a fist in there and a free kick spotted again.
So you see what Nathan Brown did to King there?
Yeah.
He just moved him sideways underneath the footy. That's when these boys have got raw talent, the King brothers, but that's what you've got to protect against.
And that's why you don't rush kids in.
Correct.
Because they're playing on 105 kilo, very good defenders. A bit different to the under-18 system, so it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Beautiful kick weighted by Sinclair to Parker. Over the top came Martin. Almost bending back into play, but now for a boundary throw-in inside forward 50.
Stewie Jew, just under the umbrella. Cam Mooney hasn't got one. He's working on his tan today.
Baby all out there.
Dominating the uncontested possession so far. The home team, the Gold Coast Suns. Akers, kick partially smothered. And Parker, well, that's out of bounds on the full.
Got the wrong side of the footy. He's a ripper, Parker.
Tell us a little bit about Parker. What's his greatest asset? Where does he settle in as a player?
Oh, he's got some mercurial traits, but he's got raw speed.
Yeah.
Raw speed.
Oh, a little bit of indecision out there between the first gamer for the Suns, Ellis, the former Tiger, and this guy, Homsch. Now Ellis can get his first touch as a Gold Coast Sun. And that kick gave Holman a chance. Off hands again, McPherson doing his best work at ground level so far. Good spoil over the top, John O'Marsh.
It's a good story, John O'Marsh, isn't it? Left league footy, some personal issues to deal with. And who would have thought, round 22 last year, that this young man would be playing league footy again? And he is. Well done, and doing a good job of it.
Beautiful day in Townsville, temperatures in the mid-20s. About 10 degrees warmer than back in Melbourne, where St Kilda fans are cheering their team on.
Marsh was one of the number of players that withdrew in Shanghai before the bye with that illness. And I think there was a couple of players that actually played that weren't right.
Yeah, a contributing factor to that big 70-point loss to Port. It's going the way of St Kilda here.
So what he'll be looking for here, he'll want to get the 45 kick. You see Holman and the lights just standing in there blocking that off.
Set up defensively really well there, the Suns.
Yeah, did well.
So force this kick.
Down the line from Dunstan over the top of Battle. Fisted clear by Ballard. Joyce to Miles, who had time to steady. And there's a free kick. Holding going on. Savage was all over Holman, who goes quickly.
And that's better use 2 shorter passes.
McPherson towards the top of the square. 2 metre Peters there. Offhand, staying down. Will Powell to kick the first one of the afternoon in Townsville.
You're spot on, Lynchy. That short kick creates that goal. The long kick, everybody gets settled under the footy, but that little short kick now means that it's genuinely a one-on-one, and a second comes in to support who leaves his opponent and stays grounded. Look, there's a mass of players there at the end, but essentially the ball was a 1-on-2.
That's right, and the mistake was if Billings leaves his opponent, you must impact the contest. It gets over the back, and that's an easy goal for Powell.
His 7th of the season, the young West Australian who's so impressed. Former top 20 pick from a few years back.
After not being in the Western Australian under-18 team originally, he's been super impressive over the course of the pre-season and in the first half of the season. Had some concussion issues about 5 or 6 weeks ago as well.
So that's what Day can bring as well. The backup ruckman won it down towards Miles, and then a little 1-2 with the former Tiger. Floated towards Archie. Finally back in the lineup.
Great to see him back in.
Good hands.
Yeah, timed it nicely against Armitage. Off the hands of Wright, and Brown looking for the boundary line. A score. Darcy McPherson all the way over that fence as well. You don't see that too often.
He leans over to say, come on, back in, mate. Come on, sorry about that.
He's done everything else this season, Darcy.
A little bit of WWF about that one,
just the flip over onto the grass.
One over the turnbuckle.
Getting there again is Day. Brody hunting around for it. And we'll get another stoppage.
There it is, Darcy McPherson. Probably one of the most improved players this year at the Gold Coast Suns. Over the turnbuckle, onto the grass.
Tell you what,
perfect dismount.
The kids were 1 metre the other way.
He saw the space and said he could go for it. Yeah, the old vault manoeuvre.
Good
Touched
effort.
off the boot. It's going to cancel out a goal for Miles, unfortunately for him.
Definitive early call by the umpire.
Savage earlier with the kick in, went right up the guts. This time he's just going to chip it into the pocket. And Billings getting plenty of it.
Yeah, they want to move the ball quick. They set up well behind the ball, have the Suns.
Fiorini got there to create the contest. Kept in, though, by Nunes. And he got a free kick as well.
So Nunes and Gresham just didn't sort things out between the two of them then.
This is going to be a long switch if he has to go. Ooh.
Brandon White opened up a bit of room for him. The kick came off the side of the boot. Still might work out for Clark. His handball was cut out, though, by Ellis. And now Brody. Smothered by Marsh. McPherson tackled effectively. Umpire gave it the all clear. And now Archie. Normally a good finisher. Top of the square towards Wright. Now back towards Clark. Little nutmeg spotted.
It's a good couple of minutes for the Suns. They haven't been able to get a clean shot away, but they're holding the ball in their forward 50 and putting enormous pressure on the outlet kick when St Kilda actually do get possession.
What they're able to do also is pressure the kicker.
Yeah, well, that's a key. Yeah, absolutely.
So Miles has already had 7 of those disposals, with the Suns dominating. Big differential in disposals so far, and plenty of stoppages too.
And these repeat stoppages are good from an offensive point of view, because you're putting pressure on the defence. There's a chance a free kick's going to be pulled out of one of these congested situations, and obviously if it goes the Suns' way, they generate a shot.
So it's Day v Bruce in the ruck, and again towards the boundary line. Dunstan tried to keep it in.
One of the boys I really like in the Gold Coast Suns, and he's only playing his 15th game, is Will Brody, number 7. I just like the way he's going about it. He's got good size about him. He's just closest to the boundary here. He's already had 3 clearances.
Kick from Sinclair towards the boundary line. He took on the tackler, so the umpire's going to ping him.
And this is exactly the pressure that's built on the St Kilda defence. Ball stays in your defensive 50, you're under stress, and this sort of thing opens up.
That was a lazy attempted fend-off by Blake Acres. Wasn't much thought put into it, and that's a lazy man-up job. Corey Ellis in game 28, getting a shot at the big sticks.
7 goals for him as a Tiger. Now in his first game as a Gold Coast Sun. Just travelled the required journey to be paid the mark.
It's very kind of you, Speedy.
So what can Ellis do? He's dragged it a little near side. Another minor score. 1 goal, 4 for Gold Coast.
And there is no doubt the 15 metres in your forward 50 is vastly different to 15 metres in your defensive 50. You go for a short switch in your D50, play on.
Which is very different to how far you can run with it.
Yeah, that's right.
Brandon White, who's been racking up the disposals in the VFL, averaging more than 22 a game, demanding selection, and he was on kick-in duty there.
So every kick that's coming out of the Saints defensive 50 at the moment is pressured and kicked to a contest. They're getting no easy access to the footy and retention of the ball for a secondary possession.
Bit of room here for Dunstan and Brodie to go at it, the 2 number 7s, and Weller wrapped up successfully by Sinclair.
There he is, Will Brodie. And so good size, isn't he? 189 centimetres. Might even be a bit big, isn't it?
Looks like we're up against Dunstan at these stoppages.
Weller was left all alone. Another clearance for Gold Coast. And at ground level, Swallow getting after it. Broke the way of Marsh, then Swallow applied the smother. And look at all the red jumpers around this contest now. Some St Kilda's players get in to even up the numbers.
Yeah, they're fighting the fight, the Suns, aren't they? They're going to turn this into trench warfare and just put numbers to the ball.
And they tend to play an inside type of game. Their taps from these sort of stoppages stay inside. They don't want to get it on the outside where they can get hurt.
Well read, son.
He got there, Lukosius couldn't quite complete the mark ahead of Marshall. 2 Suns trying to keep it in. They both overran it in the end, and Hunter Clark able to go the other way. Kent with a good stretch, and he plays on. Ross to Akers. Membry wants it over the top. Akers still summing it up. Now he looks for Membry, who's got the sit, but well played by Ballard in front.
Just didn't think his way totally through it. And I would have liked to have seen Parker give a cut lead. See Parker at the top of 50? He needs to cut through there now. Membry just a little late to come back at it. He wanted to dish off Akers, which is great.
Brodie couldn't get the kick clear. Kent's handball, and now Ross, who's been struggling to convert. And another minor score for the captain, who's kicked 1 goal 5 now in 2019.
Like to have seen Membry there, Derm. Maybe just put a bit of body on Ballard early before he went out the back.
Yeah.
Ballard just controlled the space quite well in the end, didn't he?
Now, a bit of space for Fiorini. Time to look up. And the kick wasn't great. Played well by Marsh to link with Gresham, who spears one down the boundary line. Bit of time for White to work it out. And the chip is a poor one, and they turn it over in sloppy fashion, the Saints.
And just to answer that, Cam Mooney, Ballard being 195 centimetres, if you don't body him, he's got tremendous reach as well.
And Akers being a right footer, couldn't quite get the penetration in the kick, could he? Spoiled effectively by Marshall. Now Sinclair reaching down. Here's Josh Bruce.
Again, are restricted in the way they move the ball. They've been slowed down really well here. They're looking for that, as you said, Dern, the kick on the 45, that one, and then be able to play on.
Yeah, but they're not playing on.
No.
So a bit of containment here.
Now the inside 50 comes, trying to help it on was Sinclair. Harbrow, former Townsville grammar boy, and Ben King in amongst a couple of Saints. Couldn't gather it cleanly first time around. Now Ross looks for penetration. It's a good kick coming over the top. Very good spoil by Joyce, who had 3 Saints to beat.
Good move from Joyce. He left his man to impact this contest. Really important spoil.
Good shoot. Really gutsy effort by Tim Membry to stand in there.
Quick kick out of there. And they'll get another stoppage inside their forward 50.
Well, they've got to be better at holding the ball inside their forward 50 now, the Saints. Gold Coast have been able to exit. They haven't been able to score from it, but they've been able to exit their defensive 50 quite easily.
And Billings is the danger here. He's furthest from this stoppage.
Lukosius playing all around the ground so far in his rookie year and acquitting himself beautifully. He was pretty impressive in his debut against St Kilda in round 1.
Just settled in the last 2 minutes, the Saints. The onslaught of that contested footy, pack football, you know, ravaging the opposition by the Suns. It's just lessened off a bit in this heat, and the Saints are just settling better now.
Savage picked his man there, running around Witts. Up they go again. Day brought it down. Weller able to combine with his teammate as they work it out of defensive 50 to 2 metre Peter.
Not a lot of hard running from behind by the Suns now. That's why there's the retreat. Go around the back door.
Well, it's just interesting. We see Peter Wright take that mark on the half-back flank, but the only problem is right now, Day's in the ruck, so they didn't really have that extra body, big body down the line, so they've had to come back around.
It looks a little fatigued, King, but he might get on the end of this.
Gee, that's a good kick by Joyce on his left to find.
Beautiful kick.
Big Ben King.
Yeah, he didn't have to do a lot, Ben King, then. Just hit him.
There's Witts presenting. Chipping their way down in front of the fans on the hill.
He's got 2 metre Peter with a very good mismatch here.
Swallow headed that way.
Oh.
Over the top, taking it away from 2 metre Peter was Archie.
As the key forward, what do you say to Archie? Next time to stay.
2 words. The second one, the second one's off.
Marshall did well to work his way to front position. Holland Smith having a go.
And they're young players that haven't played a lot of time together, and that's where you need that coordination over a number of years to know when your teammate got someone cold and just allow him that one-on-one situation.
So we've got an easy outlet now. So they're starting to get the ball forward a little easier with less pressure.
Oh,
there's that 45
That's
kick.
the one.
Beautiful kick by Kent. And now they're out through Nunes, who got it from Mackenzie. Kick wide of Bruce, who has to go after it at ground level against Lukosius, who played it well. What a scrap that is in the forward pocket, waiting for the cavalry to arrive. Now Savage. Oh, it's another miss kick from the Saint. Turned over towards Brody. Interesting handball back inside defensive 50. Swallow couldn't make it work. Ross. Oh, Kent got a boot to it. Sexton and Homsch. And they can work it clear. Plenty of space for Wright.
Oh, Sam Day, great running, hard.
I can't see it.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
No real damage done, but then he had to kick to the 2-on-1, and it's easily picked off by Brown.
Only thing, you can't blame the son for the kick. He ran very hard to get into that space. Well done.
Got to give credit to young Hind in his first game. Laid 2 tackles in about 6 seconds then, which really pressured the ball coming out of the Saints forward line.
He's just ecstatic to get his chance after 7 times of emergency this year.
Another drop mark, Armitage this time. He's had to be patient. It's his birthday weekend, turns 31 tomorrow. Martin slipped through his fingers. He knew he had Harbrow out the back, and again there's room here for Sexton. He can play on. Archie was screaming for it. Little chip, well-weighted kick by Archie, who's a good user to Swallow.
King's by himself.
Yep, he's headed for the goal square. He's got a start on Dunstan. How's the bounce for Ben King? It set him up, but he completed the tackle after the ball had gone, and King's going to get a gift.
That was one where we talked about their last point anchor. The Saints got too high then, and he came to confront Day rather than being able to play back on King.
Yeah, that's right. The sliding defence costs St Kilda on that occasion.
He did well though, King. That's good hard work. He's looked like he's a little gassed in the last 5 or 6 minutes, but to be able to run forward like that, recognising the urgency of the situation, good lad.
Not often you see the umpire saying, no, open up the angle. You've got a bit more room than that.
Too honest, the kids, aren't they?
And King makes no mistake.
Well, that's an important goal because, Derm, as you said, the momentum was just starting to swing back to St Kilda, albeit they hadn't scored. But we'll see here the run when Swallow takes his mark. The sliding defence for St Kilda pushing over to Swallow, but King was by himself and running hard towards the goal square. A little unlucky with the bounce there, but here's the holding the man free kick. Just too late from Dunstan to throw him back.
Midfielder who's used to being in pack traffic and can get away with those tackles in big packs.
Pick 6 in last year's draft. Ben King. And another goal for him in his young career. Make it 4 goals, 3 in game number 5 today.
So the issue there was that Wilkie had to come off King to confront the Suns player, and that opened up the space.
So a handy lead so far for the Suns. Dunstan laying another tackle. Brody gets the kick forward. Wright leading his man to it. Left it behind for Wilkie. Can't break the tackle though. What's the umpire say there?
Let's get a fist on it.
He says throw it in.
And
Again, he might have thrown that.
That pressure from your key forwards when the ball's hit the ground, because now you've got another stoppage in your forward 50. These numbers are just mounting up in this first term, putting the Saints under enormous pressure.
Marshall trying to work his way to the front. No definitive tap work, and there's another free kick picked out. Parker's given it away again, and the advantage isn't going to accrue for McPherson, who thought he might be able to run in.
I tell you what, though, if you look at that play in isolation, there was no one really where the ball was at stopped. There's no reason why that couldn't have been play on advantage. If he doesn't kick this, if they don't get a goal out of this, I reckon they've been stiff.
Especially, he's having a shot from 55 essentially as well, so it's a
that ball
big
kept
ask.
rolling on, and everyone who had dibs on the ball kept playing the ball, and they still ran into an open goal. They could be stiffed here.
A few years back at Metricon, from this kind of range, you back him in. He was such a sweet goal kicker, but he's struggling this year. 5 goals, 11 for Jack Martin. Gives it a ride. Looking okay. What a hit from Jack Martin, who's all class.
That one, so no concern about the disadvantage of pulling the ball back.
So watch this.
Here's the free kick.
So here you go. Now that ball's gone on, and that's in natural play here. They keep playing it. Now the result's the same in the end, so with neither disadvantage or advantage, that's the way the game's gone. Let's see here. So that's just fallen there. He's run straight onto it. A little bit slow, maybe, the St. Kilda defender in the end.
I think, to be fair to the umpire.
Yeah.
And I think when in doubt, pull it back. So great kick from Jack Martin. And for 12 months now, his contract situation's been a huge talking point in Queensland. Will he re-sign? Will he look to move to Victoria, go back home to WA? It's going to be a massive talking point for the rest of the season.
Gee, that's a high bounce.
And Witts brought it down, but only as far as Gresham.
Took a pitch out there.
High bounces all over the place today on a lovely playing surface here at Riverway Stadium in Townsville.
Well, they've played international cricket or List A cricket with Australia A and Pakistan A have played here, and some Shield games at this venue.
First
class cricket.
That could be the highest bounce I've seen all year.
Since the rubber mat at VFL Park.
We just nudged Witts out of it, did Marshall. It's another shank. Still might work out, but Powell got a spoil in. Savage, a little bit of room ahead of Holman, and he's able to find his man on the lead.
So Savage, to me, looms is the most important player in St Kilda's back line at this point. And I'll tell you why in a second.
Membry. 2 minutes to go in this opening term for St Kilda to try and find their first major. Good spoil over the top from Homsch. McPherson, bit of room to go back to the quarterback on this occasion being Fiorini.
With such a big forward line, they're not going to be great at getting ground level balls, the Gold Coast Suns forward line. So Savage should get a fair bit of it. That's going to go close. Well done.
That was the case in point. The kick that wasn't 15 according to the umpire. It was longer than that kick earlier down the other end.
Back half's very different to the front half.
So Fiorini with another possession, backing back bravely.
Beautiful road.
Was Homsch. Now Holman, another high bounce to contend with. That allowed Marsh to come in. King back towards Holman. Now St Kilda have the numbers. Armitage was brave. And now Ross on the outside via Savage, but good hands, Hall and Smith. Peter Wright trying to improvise. Finds his man on the bounce. Holman. One-on-one. Powell trying to hold off his man. Well played by Billings.
Player just been in the system a couple more pre-seasons in the gym. Used his strength well there.
Be fair to Will Powell, he looks like he's never seen the inside of a gym.
They've been trying to put kilos onto his frame. I think they've managed to put about 7 or 8 on since he arrived from WA. Now Ross, little 1-2, and Savage. Here's Derm's key man. And how's the kick? It gives his teammate every chance in the pocket. And Gresham's got it.
So Savage with 3 key forwards big, and Peter Wright did really well before chasing, but with 3 key forwards, it's not got a lot of pressure to stay in there at ground level. Savage should be able to get on the bike.
So Gresham kicked a very handy goal in the last minute of round 13 last year. In the last minute of the first quarter, he's come up with the poster.
And that was a better entry inside the forward 50 because it was weighted to Gresham's advantage, so out to his side, so he could easily take that mark. I just feel, once again, St Kilda have been bombing the ball too long to a pack situation.
It stays in.
And we're about to hear the quarter-time siren. And St Kilda coming off that big loss a fortnight ago in Shanghai. Under the pump on the road again in Townsville. It's all the Gold Coast Suns who lead by 21 points at quarter-time. Stay with us.
Inside. They don't want to get the ball on the outside where they can get hurt with leg speed. So it will be an inside mauling game. Get it forward 50 stoppages, create pressure, then generate a goal from ground level.
It's phase 2 of the old Sydney Swans game plan.
Absolutely it is.
21-point lead. First time the Saints have been goalless in the opening term since round 16 last year.
Not quite the same bounce there, different umpire.
So he'll just throw it up second time around with everyone reset in the 6-6-6, and away we go in the second quarter. Marshall slapping it down towards Ross. Hunter Clark trying to spin his way through traffic and had another go, but Brodie stuck to him. Weller gets away from Clark. Lukosius wanted it, but Weller saw an option. Speared one down towards the feet of Day. McPherson trying to keep it alive. Day spins his way clear. And over the top, Holman looks for Witts. Can he get it on the boot? He's been a good goal kicker this year. Ball to be won for Powell against Billings.
Lockie Weller's pace to get away from congestion has been pivotal in 2 times already this game. That was the second time just away from that stoppage in the middle then.
Witts trying to poke it towards King or Brodie. Now Ross, little look away handball, and we'll get another stoppage.
And again, I think we've seen it once in 35 minutes how St Kilda have been able to rebound reasonably quickly out of their defensive 50. Again, held up. And this is something that Stuart Dew would be most impressed with.
Again, Marshall bringing it down. King and Brodie. And Witts tried to get another shot away. Swallow with the follow-up. Well, the first co-captain couldn't kick it. Swallow doesn't look confident.
Players all saying they touched it here, Speedy.
No.
The Saints boys went right straight up.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, I believe it's behind touch. Can we just check?
Yeah, cool. Score review. Umpire's call is touched, one behind. Can you please confirm off the boot?
Watch the last 2 fingers on Marshall's right hand.
Yeah, maybe a couple more as well. Might be 4 fingers nearly.
In fact, you've got to go off because it's running.
Given their track record over the last fortnight, why don't you do the adjudication here, Speedy?
Coming off.
I think we're safe. I think we're safe. But again, this is textbook Gold Coast Suns. Forward 50 stoppage, keep the ball inside, generate a shot from ground level.
Yep. And you're going to get a lot of those touched.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't need many more looks at this. Of course, the on-field call is that it's been touched.
They're nervous. Okay. They want to get it right. They want to get it wrong.
Could you hear the snick from there, Cam Mooney? It might have been fairly loud.
Yeah, no, you can hear it. As I said, the players went straight up, so they all knew. I'm not sure why Dermot's taking this long. Maybe they're a little bit nervous, but it shouldn't take this long.
It sounds like the scoreboard is the issue, so they've made the decision.
Because it is a sponsored sort of product now, isn't it? And you've got to get the sponsor up on the big screen.
Do you want to sponsor it?
Let's just mention them. We'll give them a verbal and away we go.
Score review. That was confirmed behind.
Okay.
And we had a bit of a blood rule in between all that too, guys. Armitage just came off quickly for the blood rule.
They had time to stitch him up and get him back out there, I think.
Wilkie. Well, he had 2 teammates to choose from there.
That was a great kick. He's savage.
With Dash, he's looking the quickest for St Kilda, but running into trouble there was Clark. Martin over the top, out in front of Archie. Oh, across came White. Archie kept his feet, able to link up with Martin. Breaks through another tackle. Over the top, they've got options here. Holman in the pocket. Played well by Brown. Didn't give away the free kick.
I didn't see how the ball came out.
There's a few alarm bells starting to go off, I would have thought, in the coach's box for the St Kilda Footy Club.
Not tremendously well played there by Seb Ross. He was next to Nick Holman. and allowed him to go deeper into the pocket, peeled off, and the ball tracked its way to Holman, almost a shot at goal.
Play on.
Quick kick out of there by McPherson, and leading his way to the footy was Ben King, playing in front and getting his reward.
Is that forward 15 metres speedy as well? Barely gone the distance, but played in front. He's an athletic big man and just had enough speed off the mark to be able to get the arms under that one. He'll line up for his second goal. And this it's not going to be a high-scoring game, but it's a crisis point for the Saints.
It's his third shot of the game so far. Pick 6 in last year's draft. Ben King steers it home with exceptional technique. He's the game's first multiple goal kicker.
So what we're looking at here, Brown takes up rear position there because he knows he wants to motion King under the ball. But when you've got pack football, a quick snap drops short. Doesn't matter whether you're 6'6" or 5'10". If you're in front, you get that. Brown's playing percentages. The percentages went against him, and the percentages went for King then, regardless of size or shape.
And importantly, the young star went back and hit beautifully. And a few issues at the moment. David Swallow's been good. He's had 11 disposals. Fiorini 10, Miles 10 for the Gold Coast Suns. Ross is leading the way with 10 for the Saints.
And Billings with 9. Witts flicks it out towards Fiorini. And that won't be coming out with Dunstan in and under.
Lynchy, we've been watching the Suns the last few weeks, and we've been noticing King's been coming to this game, hasn't he? He's almost had one of those games where he's taken a few marks. So this is the game he's just been working towards, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You see players start, and even though they're not touching the ball a lot, you see they're up to standard.
It was clever by Kent. He just stripped it out of there. Now the shot from long range. What a way for St Kilda to open their accounts.
And critical, they were able to get that motion forward and convert that opportunity. Luke Dunstan, so important. They've been on the receiving end for quite a while with just a number of inside 50s. So this stoppage, again, probably a bit far on the outside for for Witts' liking, but just good, strong play to wrestle that from the congestion, get it out to Dunstan. That's a really important shot, a goal for the Saints. Their first goal early in the second term.
From 55 metres out, no less, Luke Dunstan. Everyone thought the stoppage was coming, and Kent said, I'll have that, and teed it up.
Knocked it over. Yeah, the danger for the Suns is that range about 8 to 15 metres on the outside of the pack.
It is, yeah. And that's where you'd like the third up jumper to clear that congestion.
Yeah, not allowed.
No, not allowed.
Marshall took a ride on Witts. Akers with the clearance and sticky hands inside forward 50 for the debutant.
A little bit of a miss kick, but once again, just found himself in front because he was tracking the ball.
Speedy, we saw Dunstan's goal before, and I mentioned that little bit of breeze going to the right-hand screen. It's just picked up a little bit, so if he hits this nicely, this will just sail through with no effort.
He's going to have to hit it nicely.
The 24-year-old Nicholas Hind for his first goal in the AFL on debut. If you don't mind, they're going to get around him, and there's the team lifter St Kilda needed. And here's the family. There's Dad John right in the middle there. What an emotional time for him right now.
Look at him blow a sigh of relief.
Oh, that's fantastic to see, isn't it?
Fantastic.
Dad's in tears.
Now watch this. Now the kick is meant to go out to the right-hand side of screen. It's accidentally directed there, but young Hind has actually tracked that body movement out that way, so he's forged to the front, probably hoping to get another 30 metres to the outside. But lo and behold, the kick's hooked. He's in front, drops in his hands, goal.
Well, Clunes has a population of just over 1,700. There's about 100 here today who've made the trip up.
That's great.
Including Dad.
Fantastic.
He was a very handy goal kicker himself for the Talbot Hawks, I think it was. Kicked a lot of goals late last century and into this one. And now his son Nicholas delivers on debut in Townsville. He never thought his son would be wearing zinc cream on debut in June.
Well, and we thought he may have debuted last week or in Shanghai a couple of weeks ago. He landed in Shanghai the morning of the game, an hour before the bus was heading to the ground. So luckily he didn't have to play in the end.
Oh, low contact on Sinclair, who went in on Martin. Probably thought he was entitled to a free kick there, Sinclair. Now busting clear is Armitage. He thought there was someone over his shoulder. I think he had a bit more room than he thought there, David Armitage, the veteran.
Yeah, you could just see him shrug the shoulders expecting. Let's have a look at this. He got him above the knee, but it was
borderline.
Now watch Armitage shrug the shoulder here. Yeah, what is that? Saw the shadow, heard the talk.
Bit twitchy, back in the ones for the first time this year.
Not supposed to have space like that. Now Marsh and Bruce sorted out together. Now Battle was hearing the footsteps as well through the hands of Akers. That's a costly turnover potentially. The chase is on. Fiorini trying to hunt down Sexton's kick. Can he keep it in? He elects the soccer, and there's no one there for the Suns, unfortunately. It was an aggressive play by Fiorini, but all St Kilda.
Now, that's not a great play by Fiorini, because that could go the length of the field now.
So you'd rather him settle for the stoppage there?
Take the ball and absorb the tackle. Yeah. I know it's not all that spirited in terms of play, but it's going the length of the ground now.
Probably thought the only way he could keep it in was with the soccer. If you went down to pick it up, it was probably going to go over the boundary line as another kick sails over the top at that end.
So you got a perfect example then. I know it's spirited play to have a go off the ground, but it's not a percentage play. He's best off picking the ball up and getting a clean shot away, but if he gets tackled, at least absorb the tackle, set up and lock it in your forward line. Now it's at the other end.
And that's probably the second time today that we've seen St Kilda been able to transition from their defensive goal line.
Well, that P's about to lose out of that whistle.
Yeah.
As Joyce goes to a big man down the wing, and there's a free kick given away on Homsch.
Yeah, he just took his eyes off and across the shoulder.
Now Weller elects to take the bounce. Goes over the top to Powell, keeps it low.
The overlap.
Yep, Sexton is the extra man, and there's another one all alone inside forward 50. It's Fiorini again.
Oh, spot up in the middle.
Elects to chip it.
They had multiple options then.
King's just walked into that lead.
He's got too much speed off the mark here, King, for Brown at the moment. I would have thought Lynchy.
Well, you're right, and Brown's trying to play that metre behind as the defensive sweep because he's the last line of defence, so he doesn't want to get turned around. But that's why you have to hit up those leads. Yeah. That's what King has to keep doing.
Brown's banking on better pressure in the midfield, and it's not happening.
3 goals in his first 4 games of AFL footy. He could have 3 goals in the first quarter and a half here, but he won't register a score this time. A miss kick from the lanky tall forward.
So the easiest thing to do now is say, oh, Nathan Brown, play in front. That's not the instruction. If he plays from behind and the midfield do their job and put pressure on the kicker, he'll work King under the footy. And that's the plan.
Day tried to work his way to front position. Hunter Clark, little fumble over the top. Weller. And Sinclair across the boundary line.
Rux, who's up? Sam, you up? Thanks. Josh, you're up. Thank you, mate.
So they're winning this quarter. St Kilda got the margin back to 15 points. Who wants that? Brody. Midfield ball. Gresham should get a free kick, being held onto a couple of times during that sequence, but the umpire didn't see it that way.
Unfortunately, a half hold twice doesn't equal 1 full hold.
Cumulative effect.
Marshall sneaks onto the ground and runs forward just out of your screen on the right.
Play on.
Leading in a lot of statistical categories right now. Day, good poise, and it opened up for him a little to find Powell and then Martin, and it's dropping. And a good spoil as the Sun waited for it, and the Saint got there.
Lynchy, I'm loving Sam Day's efforts at the moment. He needs to do something for his career here, and this has to be the springboard for him for the rest of the year. But you can just tell by the loss of weight, he's just moving around the ground so much better.
Yeah, I agree. I reckon there's a red pen halfway through his name back at the Suns, but he's doing everything to erase that at the moment.
Billings.
And that's not being too harsh on him, but he's found a way to stay in the twos for the season up until this stage. Obviously trained hard over the last month to drop that weight, and yeah, I think his effort's been really good. He spent some reasonable time in the ruck as well, which is good to see.
Marshall leading him to it this time. Brody, bit of space opened up by a teammate. charged out. The attempted handball over the top from Fiorini, so Ross is able to go to Bruce. And Homsch played it well from behind.
Good hassle there by Homsch. Now, the Suns are 18th for retaining the ball in the competition. They only have the ball 37% of the time during a game, which is desperately low. But today, look at the uncontested possession differential, plus 26. So they've worked on holding onto the footy, sharing it around a little bit more, and it's evident on the scoreboard. So they've addressed another area in their game, learning from it, building on it. So they got it a whole lot longer than 37% today.
Yeah, I think that it probably come on the back of there's probably a lack of pressure from the Saints as well to put pressure on the ball carrier, so they've been able to retain it a lot easier than normally they would.
Accidental out of bounds on the fall off Wilkie. Threw his head back in frustration as it just sailed across the chalk.
Ball in the hands of a good user.
Yep, Martin, well, he couldn't complete the mark. Miles kept in to Wilkie.
That's a great kick.
Yep, he finds Battle, or rather Marshall. He's able to go to Bruce.
It got there.
Akers wants it deep. He's got a little bit of room, but the ball is just sailing towards the river end.
Blake Akers ran to that pocket. What he had to do was run true east-west across the ground, and that would make it an easy kick for Josh Bruce to kick to him.
So can the Suns remember how to win? They've lost their last 8 in a row. Big opportunity looms here. Free kick given away to the Suns. Rowan Marshall can't believe it. He thought he was going to have a shot.
Well, it tends to be a bit of a lottery. Both ruckmen look pleadingly towards the umpire in hope, and always staggered when it goes against them.
Not a lot of clear options for Swallow, so he waited for Homsch, who goes quickly to Joyce, and now Ballard is over the top. Joyce just sells a little bit of candy, and now he will go that way to Ballard.
It's really well worked.
Archie was inboard. He's looking for Sexton, and he pulled the kick.
Sexton was labouring as he was chasing that one. Very warm conditions here in Townsville, 27 degrees, and pretty tough on both teams at the moment.
Parker thinking about a big climb here, but then the bodies got on him, and the block was spotted. They didn't want to let him leap.
That was lucky. It was probably poor play from the Suns defensively, but lucky free kick for the Saints. We'll catch that.
Bit of holding going on here. Witts against Marshall, and he tried to take the mark out the back, did Witts. Strong work by Bruce. Unable to link up with Akers. Dunstan lays the tackle. Slapped clear to Weller. Busted through one tackle. Brody, a handball with purpose to Ellis on the outside. And that kick missed its mark.
I'm sure it's not a game plan for the Saints to just bomb a ball long. They've got to sort that out. Their efficiency going inside 50. If you are going to play that game, you need to put pressure on once it hits the ground to hold it in.
Swallow and Ross going at it. Billings found a little bit of room, and then the Shepherd applied by Ross. The kick to Gresham, bouncing away from him. Homsch the other way. What a tackle that is by Gresham against the grain.
Outstanding from both players there. Homsch knew he was going to get wrapped up, took the tackle, tried to break through, really dropped the shoulder into Gresham. Both players really good stuff.
Suns only one clear in the tackle count now after that brilliant effort by Gresham. Parker putting some pressure on that kick. Wright brought it down. McPherson just hunts around at the feet of the big man more often than not, but he took on one too many there.
Yeah, that's the pressure starting to lift now on the ball carrier, and the tackling pressure is starting to pick up. And that P you were concerned about, Dermot,
it's
is
getting
officially
worse.
Gone.
Well, I heard it early. Had a little rattle in it.
And we've seen how far the ball is travelling. Yeah. This is why Swallow kicked to this end in the first quarter.
And the thing is, as he looks at it going away from him now, it will break right to left. So it'll open up the angle a bit for him.
He fancied it, Billings. He gives it a ride. Goal umpire. Well, it grazed the post. Billings didn't quite see it from his angle, but the goal umpire was well positioned.
Did look good off the boot. Just faded back nicely from that right post.
You always get a better look at him if you hunch and turn over like Billings did. Look at it from underneath your right armpit.
With one eye open.
That was definitely a goal.
Or if you lean with it, Derm, you'll lean the ball that way for yourself.
Correct.
Lukosius had support, and Weller with dash. Running away from Hine. Good foot race. They're two speedsters, but Weller backed himself in, the former Docker. Archie just put his man under the ball. Bit of room out the back. Can he bust the tackle? He can.
They've got to stick that.
Former top 10 draft pick, Callum Archie.
Oh,
well played by Powell. He knew he had a teammate over the back, and Peter Wright was the beneficiary.
Have a look at the kick at the other end of the ground first and see whether this has grazed the post or the fact that it has. And it just comes off that left post.
Between keeper and first slip.
And then at the other end, great run from Lockie Weller to get the ball into the forward half.
Mackenzie has to stick that tackle.
Stick that one. And this is, if you called it, Speedy, that Powell was doing the right thing there for his teammate. If he was that aware, that is outstanding play. But good play, Gold Coast.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's errors made. The biggest error is Mackenzie goes high on the tackle to the shoulders rather than take the hips. He runs through the tackle. But once again, Lockie Weller's pace out of the back line creates that circumstance.
He's got a bit of Jared Harbrow about him, but just takes off and waits for something to open up or expects something to open up. But that really good aggressive running off the defensive line.
Talk about fine margins. Billings so close to a goal to tighten things up, and then Suns go down the other end and kick one.
Another free kick in the middle of the ground. Just the size of Witts is worrying Marshall.
The North Queensland boy, Harbrow, going wide to Ellis. Little 1-2. Harbrow, born and bred in Cairns, sets it up, but drifting across the face.
See, that's what Nathan Brown does so well. Engage the body of Big Sam Day. Made out he was going for the ball, but all he's doing is putting a block on him to protect his teammate.
Kent called himself into it and called Gresham out of it. And that's an advantage.
Turnbury, see, he's run away without looking at it.
Fisted clear by Holmes once more. Good clean hands by Holman, but then he missed his target. Fires the tackle on the follow-up.
He did well then.
Saw David Armitage come off half-back. For memory, he's a North Queensland boy too. North Queensland moved into Morningside in Brisbane to play his football. I reckon he's from Mackay.
Braden Pruce was born and bred in Townsville, played a lot of rugby league until the age of 16. AFL caught his eye as Ellis lowers his eyes, and Wilkie will be paid the free kick, or mark and then 50. Yes, it's that way.
Did he mark it though?
It was a pretty quick hold that he got on it, if there was a mark.
Here's the sprint.
Two-metre Peter, stay out of it.
Get out of the way.
He might goal here.
Wilkie, well played, and Bruce read it well that time. Couldn't stick it though. Hompsch able to take it away again. And King the target. Gresham chopped the arms or pushed out his man.
It's a bad drop by Josh Bruce. Just looking at him behind play, berating himself.
Appeared to have separation that he wanted.
Yeah. Well played by Jack Holmes. Ex-teammates, those two.
Many years ago.
GWS.
GWS, yeah.
This guy was there as well.
Yep.
Miles for a little while.
And he also was initially rookie to the Giants.
3 tools of the Suns, boys, I think, are just playing outstanding football at the moment for them right now.
One of them, or Witts rather, the ruckman applying the tackle inside forward 50, where he's resting at the moment, off the hands of Brown. Archie, well played by Brown against two Suns. He slapped it to the voice, and Armitage able to chip down the line. Gresham looking to play on. Floats the handball over the top.
Memory's got position.
Bit of speed here from Hind, and he just steadied himself to find a teammate. Oh, Memory drops the mark. Still time to atone. And the kick is a shocker on the follow-up. Well, Memory has just wasted the lead-up work of Hind.
Let's have a look at this. Let's look at his hands. Oh, he clasps on it. He crocodiles it. He snaps shut on it.
He's anxious, isn't he? There's a bit of anxiety in that grab. But after the Bruce one that he should have taken as well. But yeah, Memory had to just take that one. Softer hands.
Well, that's 2 goals the forwards have grasped, which is regulation stuff to actually accept the footy, catch the footy, mark the ball.
Well, there is a fair bit of stress. There's a bit of nervousness out there because they got to win this one to stay in touch with the top 8, and certainly when you're playing the 17th ranked team in the competition.
Oh, King could have smothered that.
Yeah, he looked like he had a real chance as Mackenzie took a little bit too much time, but it breaks back the way of Ross to go to Billings. Pulled the kick to the advantage of the son, who was Ballard.
Real poor kick.
That's tripping. That's 50, is it? No.
Really poor kick there.
Again, we talked at the other end of the ground, a nicely weighted kick to the advantage, but that was just so far away from the advantage of the forward.
Oh,
hang on.
Interesting kick. And in the middle was Nunes, and Gresham will go back and have a shot from 25.
Gresham all by himself, 20 metres out.
A little bit harder angle than 45, probably on the 30. Could look for a better option, but I doubt he's going to give it off. He's got that small forward syndrome, Lynchy. If I'm within 30, I'm going.
Well, you'd like to think that anyone would take this shot. Sure, you've got to make this shot. We've all missed them, but...
Yeah, he's a highly skilled player. And I'll put the Moz on him here. Should kick it.
Oh, he tightens up the angle himself, ran towards the behind post and never brought it back.
Oh, that's incredible.
He's run to the other side.
He's ran to the boundary line to knock a few extra degrees off.
No, that's a little nervousness. He's trying to play, let my instincts kick the goal rather than a process.
So White going through some run-throughs on the boundary line. That's what you get from Harbrow. Exceptional kicking outside of defensive 50 to Hall & Smith.
Speedy White's been down here for the last 5 minutes doing some run-throughs. We saw him getting some work done on that left leg. It's all bandaged up at the moment. Maybe a corky, still in the hands of the doctors, though.
Tackle continued on Marsh from Sexton there.
I like that marking contest. King found himself out of position, big body of Brown in front, but he got a fist in to get it to ground.
Yeah.
Marsh. Membry arrived late. Now Gresham pulls it back. Bruce is there. He kept his feet. Joyce dived in. Archie to tidy up. Goes for the kick outside of defensive 50. Kept alive by Hall & Smith. Akers just ran around him. Chipped it into the pocket. Looked like a chop of the arms there by Nunes, who gets up and slaps it right across the face, out of bounds on the full.
Now, the set shots are league average. They miss some, they get some. That type of kick there, people say they're poor kickers at goal, and their conversion rate isn't great. That's the type of kick they miss too often. They haven't even scored from that. Kent didn't score from the last snap as well. They're the ones they've got to improve on.
Was a banana on the run the right option there?
No.
Drop punt?
Yeah, you just got to spear through it.
They're dodging one at the moment, the Suns. They've been under enormous pressure. The last 5 to 8 minutes has been played right of screen in the forward half for St Kilda.
And they're making
they
some
haven't
errors
punished
now.
them at the moment.
Yeah, they're making some errors now, the Suns.
Are you taking notes for your next coaching session today, Derm, or are you just remembering it all?
He'll be down there at half-time, the whisperer.
Hey.
Oh, well done by Witts. Plays on quickly to Martin. Looks further afield, set Sexton up, though, as Brown got to him. Billings over the top to Hunter Clark, stepped around one. Miles put some pressure on that kick. And Kent went underneath it. Joyce going the other way. Didn't have anyone to go to.
Wilkie was backstopping.
And they should score here, the Suns. They've got numbers forward of the ball everywhere.
Oh, turn, Ritzy. You got a 2-on-1 down the line.
Now he's seen it. King kept on working. But they have been held up, almost holding themselves up a little.
So that's the regimentation of league football. Don't rush, don't panic, don't play instinctively. And he missed the 2-on-1 in his team.
Oh, big ride over the top, trying to bring it down deliberately for Fiorini or Martin. But Clark got there.
That was clever. There's Hunter Clark on the bottom there. He gathered it in, and then as he got tackled, he flipped onto his back. And the umpires will not all that often call a gathered in, a holding, hatching the ball free kick if you are belly up.
Brody tried to use his height there, an inadvertent falcon from Fiorini. Now Miles gets it on the boot in a hurry. Travelled far enough for a mark to be taken, but Sinclair's able to work it out. Side only as far as Weller, who tried to milk a 50 against Nunes, was never going to get it. He's got good penetration in his kick normally. Weller sets it up, 20 from home. Sexton tried to keep it alive. Going the other way and keeping his feet and paddling it to his own advantage was Kent, who'll get another go here at ground level. And another tackle lingered. That free kick against the Suns. It's a big advantage accruing as well for Gresham. A little late reading it was Membry, who came again on Harbrow and gave away a free kick.
Ball use in the forward half has been poor. They've dropped some opportunities on the back of good ball use, but consistently they're missing targets or bombing the ball.
I don't know what the grading is in terms of terminology, but you said poor. I think it's one below that.
Yeah, it's been kind.
Bang average, maybe.
Oh,
like that category?
Bang average might even be above it.
Well-weighted kick.
So you never want teammates to chastise other teammates, but you can demand better. Now the forwards have got to start marking those easy ones, and the midfield's got to start putting it to better advantage.
Armitage with a quick handball to Brown. Now Savage. Ross was demanding it. Quickly on the boot. Played it well to Clark. Billings wants it right in the middle.
So that's a dangerous kick now. So the ground opens up. If they're willing to do it, so they've gone the narrow side.
Plenty of numbers back for the Suns. Right now, Ballard is the spare.
There's no one presenting, all waiting for the long one.
And it is a long one towards Bruce. Backing back, and here's Ballard.
Oh, bang.
Playing in front of the pack. Gresham is certainly physical today. And now Ellis, little 1-2 to get it out of there for the Suns once more. There we go, knock 15 in the defensive half. Lynchy's been all over that from the... And a good spoil by Brown, and Akers able to tidy up.
So they've got good lock in now, the Saints. They're keeping the ball. It's played in their forward half of the ground, but they just can't get this connection here.
Again, Bruce goes early and gave away a free kick. Harbrow took the mark anyway, so Harbrow would love to take the kick as well, but it's going the way of Ballard.
And again, this is a repeat of the Port Adelaide game, the way they went inside 50, just not lowering the eyes and hitting the ball out in front, forcing players to move up to it. Sometimes you've got to be a sacrificial lead, knowing you're not going to get it, but you've got to make sure that you hit up your targets or present a target.
Well, look at that, Alistair. The inside 50s, the last 10. And they've had no advantage on the scoreboard from it.
And how often do we see this rebound the other way and the Gold Coast Suns? Just before half-time, they score. We probably won't have a chance now, though, but...
Marshall took it out of the ruck. Goes long. Bruce, again, the target over the top. Came Membry.
Gee, they're defending well.
Yep. Joyce's kick was a bit of a scrubber, though, only as far as Marshall. Now Clark, and his handball was touched by Joyce. Suns should be able to hold on here, you'd reckon, now with Joyce going long to centre wing. One more go for St Kilda perhaps, but Day broke even. Here's King with dash. Gets it on the boot, and it's only as far as Armitage, and that'll do us. So 21-point lead at quarter time for the Suns, and St Kilda have only just nibbled into it to bring it back to 19 points the difference. They left a few out there. Alan Richardson with plenty of thinking to do before his halftime team talk. And they'll take a well-earned rest, playing in mid-20s temperatures here today in Townsville. And the Gold Coast Suns on top as they try to end that 8-game losing streak. St Kilda, it's a big day for them. 5-6 right now. What a day so far for Nicholas Hine, making his AFL debut. He's one of the St Kilda goal kickers, and one of the stars for the Suns week in, week out is David Swallow with Mooney.
Well, Dave, a little bit sloppy there, but overall, I mean, you must be extremely happy with that 19-point lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We take 19 points any week. So, but yeah, definitely a bit sloppy that probably the last half of that quarter. So I could clean that up.
Your back line, they seem to be holding up extremely well. The ball was coming in, probably particularly at the end of that quarter, really fast. Your back line just holding up well. Yeah,
that's it. They've been pretty solid for us all year. So they continue to do that then. And yeah, hopefully the mids can get on top this next half.
That's what it's all about. Just work on the midfield things here in this. When you go in, talk about midfield, get on top so we can give our forwards more of a chance.
Absolutely. Give the forwards. Once we get in there, we're scoring. So we just got to give them a chance.
All right, mate. Good luck. Thanks, Dave.
Great to hear the insights of David Swallow, the former #1 draft pick from way back in 2010. So Dermot Brereton and Alistair Lynch making their way down to the boundary line for the halftime show, which is coming up right after this.
Stewie Dew spent time at the Sydney Swans, and he's sort of adopted that principle of playing footy, hasn't he?
Yep.
So can they keep Ben King quiet in this second half as well? He's the only multiple goal kicker so far. Up they go, Witts and Martin trying to break free, and he did, from Ross, who gave up the chase as well. Swallow with the first entry. It's going to sail over the top. Reading it best was Powell out the back, and tracked down successfully by McKenzie.
High class from Jack Martin just to get that clearance and spin and put Swallow into space.
Now Dunstan, gang tackle. Those two #7s have been going at it all day. Will Brodie and Dunstan.
Yeah, it looks like Brodie's just sits at all the stoppages against Dunstan.
There he is again, Dunstan working it towards the boundary line. And now over the top, a chance for St Kilda to get out. Ross helped it on, but only as far as Archie. Lukosius, a little grubber towards McPherson. Over the top. And a hold of the jumper of Wilkie by Ben King, but the umpire let it roll.
Gee, that was well played by Wilkie. If he had just knocked it through from the first touch,
yeah, well
might have
fumbled.
been beyond the accepted zone. It's better.
Yeah, Kent has been found, and off the outside of the boot it appeared, and they can give up the chase. It's into the interchange bench.
Powerful kick, and Kent, but sometimes he just, simple as this, he just doesn't hit the centre of the foot.
The former Melbourne man gives Weller the opportunity to go back the other way, and the sun an issue, and that mark has been paid. So you can't take advantage from a mark. So you'll have to go back and have the shot as that ball dribbled through.
I'd say that.
Yeah, he's taken control. He didn't have it for a long time, but he's taken control of the ball. I think that's a fair mark. And as you said, Speedy, looking into the sun, he's been good, Swallow. That's a good grab. I think even in round one, he was very potent in that forward 50 late. I think he was carrying an injury, but he's been a very good player this year for the Suns once again.
Type of kick from here, Al, you've got to dab it.
I think he did try to poke it.
Yeah, I think he might have swung a bit harder, but the foot went to the opposite post.
He's still going through the run-throughs. Cam Mooney is
White.
White.
Look, Speedy, I'm not sure if this guy's going to come back out, Brandon White, at the moment. He spent most of that second quarter on the bench doing a lot of run-throughs, talking to the physios and doctors. Again, starting on the bench here in the third quarter and still doing run-throughs, not looking great.
Parker ran a long way, and then he missed Ross. Right, quick hands to Brodie. Joyce facing the right way, and there's a free kick spotted. Plenty of holding going on down back.
Josh Battle.
He's given up the free kick, and the shot to come from Holman.
But let's be fair, Henk. I mean, you can't miss a handball like that through the middle of the ground. You put enormous amount of pressure on your defence they're trying to run offensively to support the ball carrier, but he missed by 2 metres.
So Matty Parker, as I said, he got that in real traffic and exploded out of there and misses the handball. So there was great play and bad play.
So Nick Holman to punish, and he does. The Suns with the first goal in the third term.
So the first error is the Parker handball that doesn't hit the target after being so wonderful exploding out of the contest. The second error here is Josh Battle. I guarantee if you put Josh Battle against Nick Holman one-on-one and kick 10 balls up in the air, Battle will win 8 and Holman will halve 1.
Yep.
And that'll, you know, and he might win one himself from a free kick like that. That was the free kick. Didn't have to do that, Josh Battle. It's a big win for the Suns there.
He's had to be so patient to break into the team again in 2019, Brandon White, but he's been on the bench for a long, long time. Let's hope he can get back out there, averaging 22 disposals in the VFL, 26 last week for Sandringham. Witts beaten by Marshall. Dunstan trying to paddle it to his own advantage. Brodie couldn't get an effective clearance as Gresham crashes in against a much bigger man.
When we got to the ground today, Derm, we spoke to the umpires and you jokingly said there is no excuse for poor bouncing today. They have been brilliant.
And high.
Again, neither ruckman decisive. Breaks the way of Ross, quickly on the boot of Kent. A little bit of a shank away from Hall and Smith though. Parker, great tackle on Harbrow. Little fumble by Billings, just hopeful handball picked off by Harbrow. And now this kick to a 2-on-1, but Day playing in front. Impressive return so far for him. Weller doesn't go over the top of Marshall. Set Day up a little, but he was quick by hands to Fiorini. Weller knew he had support in Joyce, and there were other options inside as well. And getting a bit of separation was Powell. Couldn't complete the mark though, left it behind. And now the Saints are out of there.
They've got the extra 2. They should be able to go quick and run it into an open goal.
This guy does go quick. Hind, 2 bounces.
He's got White on.
Chips it over the top just as the folks from Clunes were getting excited about another goal for Nicholas Hind.
And you mentioned White was Oh,
Wants to play on.
oh yeah. Yeah, you mentioned White's been on the bench for 18 minutes. At that time that they brought the ball forward, he sprinted on and went to the full forward goal square.
Thought he was going to get a cheapie.
Yes. Joe the Goose.
Imagine the National Hotel in Clunes. $3 pots throughout the duration of this game as they cheer on Nicholas Hine, but another sloppy drop mark inside forward 50. This time it was Nunes, I think. And Membry didn't take the shot on.
No, from the outset, as soon as he got it, he wanted to dish it off.
So that shot's difficult from there, given the wind directions.
They're doing the team thing. Tim Membry, who is their leading goal kicker, 21 goals, 8 coming into today.
Good team.
Yep. Ross in space. Goes via hands and off half-back McKenzie. Look at the foot race. Rowan Marshall out in front of Witts. Plenty of time, and he'll go back inboard. Just enough elevation to get over the top of Day as Armitage goes quickly to Dunstan. He wants it back. Does the veteran as well. Pulls the kick. Oh, there was a sun, though, drifting in. It looked like it was set up for Membry beautifully, but Holman dropped back.
That's turned over in a really dangerous area now. Poor kick. Had every right to go the length of the field there, the Suns.
Great work from Holman, dropping in front of Membry. Good, powerful lead, but that's fantastic. Drop back into that spot. Expect contact.
St Kilda need to start hitting the scoreboard. Don't want to leave themselves as much work as they did in round 13 last year, coming from more than 30 points down at the final change.
You saw on that play where Marshall beat Witts out here. Not that Witts is any quick character, but that's the running prowess that Marshall has as a follower.
Last year, the pressure was on Alan Richardson when St Kilda faced the Suns. It was deemed a coach-saving win by some. And he's under the pump again. The wins have been few and far between lately. One in the last 5.
Well, this is such a critical game. You get your season 6-6 instead of 5-7. There's a big discrepancy sitting in 13th position at the moment. Just start to lose contact with the top 8, losing here today.
1 win in the last 6, correction, for St Kilda.
2 weeks ago.
Coming off the bye, of course, post that loss in Shanghai. Witts over the top, bit of holding going on, and the free kick going the way of the Suns.
It does surprise everyone continually. Big Witsy's happy. And that's what happens if you've got a ruckman that's 6'11".
Gee, Weller kicked to Bruce. Across the face of goal, Bruce eventually heard a voice. Sinclair, and wow, Stewie Dew will be wondering what Weller saw there.
Barely 15 on the flip side for the goal, but that's the one the Saints haven't been taken. Yeah. They've been sort of bombing from there to the goal square. Take the easy target when it's on offer.
So Jack Nunes, 3 goals, 8 for him this year. Conversion has not been great for the wingman, and he takes some weight off this one. Up they go. Off hands, Kent stayed down and couldn't get it over the biggest goalkeeper you've ever seen in Jared Witts.
There's one man, maybe Mason Cox.
What are they doing at the moment, though, Gemma? There's 2 decent shots on goal for St Kilda that they're not taking.
Yeah, you're right.
Dunstan, another entry.
Oh, great.
Too low for a teammate, but what about the hands from Ellis?
Well, they're out here. McPherson.
Howell's kick is a beauty. And allows his teammate to run onto it. Streaming forward is Peter Wright. Can he track this one down? Savage isn't giving up here. Great chase by Savage, but Wright was good enough to finish it off. A goal made of the right stuff for the Suns.
Well, Moon's touched on it. The Saints, their last 2 possible shots for goal, they haven't taken. Trying to dish it off to share it around. And see Stuart Dew chatting to his skipper on the Berringer line. But 2 soft goals for the Suns. This rebound from defensive 50 to players out in an enormous amount of space. Darcy McPherson had 50 metres. And here he does well just to chip out in front. If he's going to miss the target, miss out in front. And Peter Wright had enough time and space to slot that one through. But 2 soft goals for the Suns.
Well played by the Suns. They were able to roll downhill with that one, but once again, if there is a half fumble by Charlie Ballard's pickup, that ball stays in a pack in St Kilda's forward line. Wonderful hands, great pickup, and the ball motions all the way to the rest of the other end of the field.
They tend not to get easy goals, the Suns, but they've got 2 soft ones. This game is really heavily weighted in their favour at the moment.
Dunstan was all over Brodie again. And now Gresham via Akers floats one inside forward 50. Again, Homsch around the blind side to get the spoil in. Akers went into that tackle well enough for the umpire. And we'll get another stoppage. But you think back to the goalkeeper work of Witts, well positioned, all 209 centimetres of him, stops one, and then they kick one at the other end in a hurry.
They're under-resourced with talent at the moment, or experienced talent, but they're well drilled, the Suns.
Plenty of Gold Coast players around the ball here. Again, Weller, who was let off after that turnover a moment ago, but now St Kilda might be able to make the Suns pay. Akers going back to Dunstan, who's kicked one from 55 earlier. This time he's setting up Kent.
Just Josh Bruce grasped another pass that came to him there.
Yeah, a couple of puds he's dropped in the last half of football. I even saw Kent then. He's having a shot. Moons is down there. Have a look. He's having a shot from 35, 40 metres out, but he's looking to dish it off.
Is that wind playing a little bit with their minds?
Well,
it's not that strong. There's a little bit there, Lynchy, but it's not strong enough for an AFL footballer to be thinking from 35, 40 out, I need to pass this off.
That's the thing. They've got to just go back, take the pressure themselves, use the 30 seconds and kick the goal.
Especially when he's got a record like that from this kind of range. And he's judged the breeze to perfection that time, almost right down the middle from Kent. And that's a big goal for St Kilda. They needed it.
And that's good on the back of a repeat entry. Pressure put on the Suns as they were trying to rebound it out, so the ball comes back in. So here's the handball that misses the target.
So what's Bruce
the turnover?
Here. Bang. This is so unlike Josh Bruce.
But this one, the chip, now it's a really good pass. But Kent from that position, he's looking around, thinking, where can I give it off? Can I give it off to someone? But he's done the right thing in the end. He's used all his time and converted, and they need players to take the responsibility.
11 goals this year for Dean Kent and 12 goal assists as well, so he likes giving his fair share off.
But once again, the Saints, for the first time in the match, 2 times entering forward 50, have been able to spot up the easy option to get a shot away at goal.
Another spectacular bounce. Second effort from Day, but Ross kick on his non-preferred, big up and under, and well judged in flight by Ellis, who's having a handy first up game for the Suns. Goes to Day, who had time to just swivel and go, and reading it best was Powell. He got rid of his man, now he steadies, and it's another big miss.
Just lack of composure from young Will Powell. I've seen a bit of that today, and it is warm conditions, but he should be converting at a better rate.
Hunter Clark got a good piece of that outside of defensive 50. Billings thought he had a bit more room, but Powell was sweating on him. Archie, Hind applying the tackles, but the kick from Fiorini picked off. Now Akers. Clark gets another touch. Kicking out in front of White, who's back out there now, as Derm said earlier. Now Nunes looking for penetration in the kick. Membry, a bit of space over the top. There's a teammate streaming towards goal, but Membry didn't need him. And they go back-to-back St Kilda.
He's not going to get much credit in this, and we'll talk about the ball movement in a second. But first gamer, Nick Hind, laid 2 tackles on the back flank when the Suns were looking to go deep inside forward 50, and he just unsettled both possessions. Ball gets turned around and it goes to the length of the field. Great finish. Great finish by Tim Membry there.
Who'd run 60, 70 metres from one side of the ground to the other to create that space.
Have a look at Hind. And again.
And that kick resulted in the turnover.
And that's the turnover. Super play by the kid. I tell you what, you give a boy an opportunity, he's been starved, and he will give you all he's got in the tank. Got to follow up next week, Hindy.
At 24 years of age as well. Probably thought several times it was beyond him.
Yeah, there was a great behind the scenes done by St Kilda's media department this week with Richo, telling Hind that he was going to make his debut, and he referenced the fact that 2012 was his first draft year potential. Here's Kent at ground level, who could have had a second goal if Membry saw him, but Membry finished off a moment ago. Swallow, didn't see Bruce crashing in. Parker, that's a better handball. Akers didn't get the connection he was after.
Who crashed that pack?
Bruce.
Because, well, if you're not grabbing it, you've got to keep it in. Bang, that is a collapse. That's an avalanche.
Because they were off.
That's a goal at the other end.
That three players running through the middle of the ground.
Now he's trying to get involved in the ruck work. Josh Bruce. Ball to be won. Weller back to Lukosius.
They got a sniff.
Gang tackled. Soccer. And Joyce getting there first, though, just as Billings was about to soccer it through.
You can just see the Saints now have a bit of belief. That big crunch by Brucey has just made them up and about a little bit. They'll probably go the length of the field now.
Weller went really short.
Well, they got a bit more zip than we saw during that second term.
Oh, Joyce has overhit it. Tried to bite off a bit too much there as Armitage slaps it on the boot in a hurry. All the way out the back, there's a chance here. Back to Gresham. Across his body, and they've snapped another one, St Kilda. They're getting a real run on now. It's back to 2 straight kicks.
And you raise your pressure and cause turnovers. There's been some poor skill execution errors from the Gold Coast in their defensive 50. So turnover again, putting pressure on the defence, get the ball forward, and they're generating these shots. And now from ground level, they're actually executing nicely. So that very handy. Last 4 scoring shots, 3 goals, 1 in the last 5 minutes to the Saints.
The final possession's making its way to some of their better ball users though as well, which is an advantage.
Kicked a big goal against them last year, Jay Gresham, and you can see after a run of 3 for the Suns, St Kilda have answered in kind. And there's a 1/4 to go.
We just saw Stewie Jew just really yelling at the runner to get out there and give a message. He went straight down the back line, so obviously not happy with his back 6 at the moment.
And maybe that kick from Joyce, because he had options and pulled the kick back inboard, and the turnover came.
That's again where you're prepared to make your mistakes or turn the ball over, and certainly not in the corridor in your defensive 50.
Was that Joyce taking a seat in front of him then, Cam Mooney? I think it might have been.
He'd be sitting down the other end, I think, Speedy.
It's a 3/4 time huddle. You always make sure you're the last at the back.
And do the boot up.
Socket out of there for the clearance by Swallow, but McKenzie camped underneath it.
We just talk about the conditions down here, Speedy. The wind actually has picked up probably in the last 5 minutes, so they're doing this against the breeze at the moment, the Saints.
It's an automatic trigger kick there that makes its way to Billings. Better play.
Asking a lot of his teammate down the line, and it was across the boundary line before Hine could get a touch on it. Weller. And Powell got there to create the contest and bring it to ground level, but Battle was the extra out the back. Hunter Clark can go back to Battle, who's hemmed in by Fiorini. Now the Suns might be able to get one on the turnover. Important tackle by Savage. Look at all the numbers for Gold Coast if that got out.
Huge tackle from Shane Savage, but great play from Will Powell prior.
Yep.
The Saints just had the numbers there. They were going to take an uncontested or intercept mark in their back half, but Powell just did enough to get a fist on it, bring it to ground.
Good ruck work to Ross's advantage. Clark across his body, and just off the interchange bench, Ellis.
They need to regain some composure here. The Suns have been outplayed for 5 minutes now.
Again, a lot of players misjudging it when the kicks are coming down that way.
Yeah. It's almost, I mean, I know the ball's carrying a lot longer in that direction of the right-hand side of screen, but they're over-kicking the target, both teams, when they're kicking to that end.
So Witts benefited by that boundary throw-in. Hunter Clark tried to take the tackler on. Spills the way of Miles ultimately, and he opened up a bit of space for himself. That was a half chance for Miles to kick one.
That could have been numero uno in the Miles highlight tape at the end of his career had that gone through. He's a ripper, Milesy. Like a little anvil, he's just built to be punished.
And handed out.
He's a fantastic young man.
Billings goes wide. And a good climb by White. Whatever was holding him back earlier is not affecting him now.
Been able to hit that 45 now and get the overlap.
Armitage played on quickly. Parker looking for Bruce. Another kick over the top. Kent's not giving up though. Soccer's to his own advantage, but a little too long.
First dare they've shown for a couple of minutes as well. That kick on the 45 came in. The immediate play on from Armitage. The handball goes to the other end. And Kent uses his pace to force the ball further on into the forward line. Just got to hold up here, the Suns.
St.Kilda looking to close that gap even more against the breeze. Josh Bruce this time. They've kicked some handy snaps already. It's floating back. Goal umpire was interested, but it's a poster in the end as White had half a chance.
He's looked half dangerous since he's come back on White, hasn't he?
Very dangerous.
He's got a little bit of zip about him to get around the ground.
I reckon Bruce has come back on the ground after his went for a rest a little bit earlier. Hadn't had a really good game, but he's come back on as well and really had an impact.
Well, he's got some zip about him, hasn't he? He's making a bit of an impact on every contest he goes near.
Good distance in the kick from Lukosius, but St Kilda get it back. Armitage again, 13th possession coming up for him to Billings, and Ross with poise to Bruce, who can play on if he wants to. Marsh is outside of him, but he goes further down the ground to Parker.
Just starting to get stretched a bit, the Suns.
Aren't they? Just to the outside, that 8 to 15 metre area outside the pack. Oh, shank.
It's the barrel.
Almost an inside-out barrel.
Barrel. When we talk about spots not to turn it over, they're lucky they've got away with this one, the Saints. But
problem is now, Lynchy, all the Suns players have been camped down in their back half. That would have been a perfect opportunity to go. They just had no one to go.
No one to go. They're on the ropes. They're just defending at the moment.
That tells you the state of the game.
Yeah.
But given which way the breeze is going, do they need to be more aggressive to open up a bigger margin here?
Well, I think they're just trying to get the control of the tempo of the game back, because St Kilda have had that for most of this quarter now.
Gee, Witts had to be clean after Archie dropped the mark, and he was. Now Lukosius. Tough kick to pull off, but that's the class of the youngster. He found Will Powell, and Miles with the big up and under. Do your best with that, Ben King, and he gave away the free kick.
Oh, that's a 4-metre pass.
To Akers via Wilkie. And he's trying to drop it into space. And he did, over the top of 2-metre Peter, if you don't mind, to McKenzie.
What the Saints are doing really well now is containing the football in their possession, and they're forcing the Suns to chase, giving them very little time with the ball.
Good kick by Brown. Got Wilkie on the front foot. He's overhit it, though, and Ballard over the top. Not a great kick.
No, it was a poor kick. The movement was really good from White to press up at the ball carrier, but just
I think both teams are a little fatigued now, Alistair, just to actually explode and take it on.
Off the hands of Holman. Sexton to Martin. Billings kept the pressure on, and Ross able to take it away. But he's going to turn it over too. Straight back to Ballard. We can start again.
They'll be trying to switch this up and trying to come to the near side of the ground. Try to get around this press. But you're right, Derm. The sting or the run from both teams is pretty much gone. Just wonder whether the Saints got more run. They've certainly been able to move the zone around quite easily over the last 10 minutes.
Miles goes quickly and wide to Horton Smith.
Yeah, they've got to use this one.
Brown comes out to man up that extra.
Peter Wright had his hand up, wanting that kind of kick into the pocket. Holman, can he keep it in? Only briefly.
So what happened there, the mismatch was because, as I said, Brown came out to meet that extra who'd run down hard in Sexton, which exposed McKenzie against 2-metre Peter. They were able to get a 50-50.
Don't see backdrops like that too often in the AFL. Mount Stewart in the background as St Kilda work it clear again. Harbrow in the contest with Noon, slapped it back inside forward 50. Clark lost his feet, knocked over by Swallow, and Suns get another stoppage that they're after.
Scrapping their way forward, the Saints back in this game. In all but 1 point. Yeah, 3 goals 2 to 1 point over the last 10 minutes.
Good quick hands by Ross on the outside to Billings, and Membry leading up the ground. An aggressive kick, and he's found his man. Nunes wanted to play on. There was a link-up man, Gresham. He had to go further afield. It was a good option. Here's Battle. Takes some time to steady and go for home, and the fans love it. Another one for St Kilda. It's 1 goal the difference.
In the last 7 minutes, Josh Battle is the only backman who's with purpose, run the lines to receive. Now, this is a beautiful kick here. This is the cutting kick, which opens everything up. But right now, out of screen on the left, Josh Battle's already on the bike. You can see where he's departed from. That's King chasing him out of the forward line. He's just given up. And that's the senior body. He's only played 20-odd games, but just an extra year in the competition.
And in that vision, the thing that really stood out was the fact that there was Suns players trailing dramatically the Saints forwards, and just see the score worm, and certainly the last 15 minutes of play has been dominated by the Saints. Some bad signs now have flipped back looking at the Suns.
Just his second goal of the year for Josh Battle, who played forward last year, down back predominantly in 2019. He's still eligible for the Rising Star, and he's right up there in some key stats.
He's a massive shot at it. He is a really good player, this kid, Josh Battle.
Slapped out of there by Marshall, and Sinclair got it going forward again. Membry tried to slap it down to his teammates' advantage, and it worked out for Billings to go back to Membry. Again, the Sun an issue, but he worked it out in the end, and now Savage has been big in this quarter.
Out. One umpire said out, one said in.
The other one said good.
Yes, that's right.
Umber Clark had to give it up. So Witt's the target here, and had his arm dragged down cleverly by Marsh, because there was no umpire on this side to adjudicate on that. And they want deliberate against Archie. They're not going to get it.
And this has been a really good comeback from the Saints. We spoke earlier in the first 10 minutes of this quarter, the Suns had got 2 soft goals, just running goals, and so from turnovers. So to be able to turn this around, own the ball for 15 minutes and impact the scoreboard has been first class.
Hind just back out there, and the number 40 on debut today, and happy to communicate as well. That's what you get with mature age recruits.
That's great to see.
He's only got the 4 possessions, but I tell you what, he's been a whole lot more valuable than that to the Saints.
Harbrow quickly on the boot, tumbles it down. Great hands, Peter Wright ahead of Marsh. Plenty of work being done by Day, and the lead came from King, who got his hand up, but was no hope of marking it.
King, we saw him do some wonderful things in the first half. We're just seeing real fatigue come into a first-year player now playing his 5th game. So the issue for him is to see this match out, have an effect still from here to the end of the game.
Couldn't get a kick away. Gresham was applying a really good tackle on Fiorini.
And that's pretty much consistent across the whole Gold Coast list. I mean, they're a young team. Both teams got injuries, but they're a young team, and they tire. The difference between the middle sides and the bottom sides is the bottom sides just tire and finish up the game 5 minutes before the end of the quarter.
Yeah, the grind. The good teams, Geelong, as good as Geelong are at the top of this ladder, they grind teams. Like the good teams that they play against and beat Collingwood and the likes, that they grind them, and then they let loose on their scoring later in the game.
Oh, he still can't get one. Rowan Marshall. Witts plays on, nearly kicked it into the back of Archie. A good climb over the back and sticking the mark. Sam Day, what a return to the AFL for him this afternoon.
This is the best he's looked in the air and the way he's moved around the ground for 3 or 4 seasons. We've seen him playing different roles back and forward, but he's moved around the ground quite well. Got a bit of zip, and that sort of power to launch in a contest is good to see.
This is an unusual way to stand on the mark.
that'll put Sam Day off.
Well, you can actually see the calf there. It is absolutely torn on Armitage.
Bulging out the inside.
Armour, the old fella, the old veteran, the calf.
Look at it.
He might be done.
Oh, look at it. Still cramping. Come on, Armour, get off.
You can feel his pain.
He's going to stretch. Get a calf stretch against the post. Watch.
So the clock just kept on running. Well past the allotted shot clock, and it puts Sam Day off. No, it didn't. He steered it home. He's back in the big time. And how handy could that goal be for the Suns?
As Armour takes his 2 minutes to get off the ground.
Let's have a look at why the ball was down there for a start.
Oh, jumper.
It's the jumper pull. They both had hold of each other, but when he eventually got a a finger hooked into the jumper and stretched the material, that's the trigger for the umpire.
That's a good catch.
Isn't it a good one?
That's a good catch from Sam Day. They throw himself at that. He had the run, but he's got to get up over the St Kilda defender in front and take that grab. David Armitage works off the cramp.
Nothing that the pickle juice won't sort out for David Armitage. Taking a swig on that and trying to get ready for a big final term.
Invaluable goal for the Suns.
It opens up that margin, which was out to 31 at one stage. Remember, three-quarter time last year, it was 31 as well, and St Kilda chased that down.
So 4-3 for the Saints this quarter, 3-2 in terms of goals for the Gold Coast Suns.
Witts v Marshall from the throw up this time. Gresham, little fumble, but able to turn away from Fiorini and find Dunstan in space. He's got support from Hind. They're getting excited again, the folks in Clunes, but he picked a teammate out again.
One of the few times when they've rushed in, carrying the ball over 50, that they've kicked the ball to advantage, pure advantage. Now, Tim Membry being so experienced as well, wonderful lead, had the advantage of already having a look at the behind goal vision, cuts across his vision from west to east, east-west, whatever you want to call it, which forces Hind to kick it to him.
He could kick a career best in 2019, 44 in 2016 and is his best. This for number 23 this season, and he's second of the quarter, and it's back to 1 goal the margin again, approaching three-quarter time.
Yeah, great answer, and you're spot on, Derm. Just the movement was first class.
So you see him on the right-hand side screen. Now, most players right now are going to run back to goals, but he runs across the vision, which takes Hind's eye line and forces him to kick to him. It's not a direct route to goal, but it forces him to kick it to him in a position where he is well-versed with taking a set shot.
But what that also does, he's an option on the lead, but he clears the goal square. Yeah. So if the ball carrier is going to have a shot, it's a clear goal square, so spot on.
Such a good lead by Tim Membry, and half time we mentioned some of the Saints players who weren't leading like that. Blake Acres comes to mind. If you can learn that, it's such an easy kick for the midfielder to make.
Still time for another score before the final change. Who can get the clearance here? Marshall going in low on McPherson. Fiorini couldn't flick it up to his teammate. Gresham had nowhere to go this time, and the umpire said that's incorrect disposal. Advantage paid. Big chance here. Fiorini over the back all the way through, is it? Oh, poster. Just enough pressure on that kick.
Oof. Didn't flush it.
Time for a quick turnover for the Suns and a shot at goal.
So Wilkie's going to go with the safe long kick down the line towards Membry and Bruce. Just enough time.
You're right with Josh Bruce, Alistair. Played, well, he's just been out of touch this game, where I thought he was moving beautifully when I've seen him in the last week or so. He's had an effect on the game in this quarter without really touching the ball.
Yeah, just hit a few bodies, bit of zip into the tackles.
Witts brought it down, and that will ensure there can be no further score in this third quarter, which has been dominated by St Kilda against the breeze. They'll be very confident now heading into the final term. Siren about to sound in Townsville. It's game on again between these two cliffhangers. Last time they met, round 1 this year, round 13 last year, and it's all to play for in the final term in Townsville. It's a 7-point ball game.
Bad news, they're 16th in the competition for winning final quarters. They've got what seems to be a bit of a breeze behind them. They've got what seems to be a bit of momentum behind them, but they aren't great at finishing off games.
Moons, did you get a feel of, has that been much of a change at three-quarter time with the wind? It looks like it's coming across the ground a little bit now.
Look, it was always going to the right, but across into where you guys are. You've seen a lot of the kicks come out in the full on this side of the ground. But right now, as we speak, the wind's actually really died down.
Bit of crowded house getting everyone in the mood as well for the final term, and away we go. Marshall tapped it back. It was tough to get an effective clearance. It travelled far enough for Harbrow to be paid the mark. Gives it to Weller, one of their best users off half-back, and that really holds up on the breeze. Still bounced through towards right. V. Marsh, who may have copped a high one there. Look at Gresham go. He's covering the ground as well as anyone. Little 1-2 with Dunstan. Make it a 1-2-3 and a 4. Back to Gresham. Chips it to the top of the arc, and Kent told to go back by a teammate and have the shot.
See, in the opening 2 quarters, that kick would have gone high, long to the front of the goal square, and the Suns were defending it well.
Now, Lynchy, this is the example where you kick it to the left-hand goal post because that breeze has just picked up again a little bit, still going behind his back, but just pushing to his right. Kick it to the left-hand side. This should just bring it back nicely.
He was goalless in the last 3 games for the first time since 2013, so no wonder the confidence was a little low coming into today, but the confidence is sky high right now. It's back to 1 point, the difference, and Kent has his second.
That is just a really good build-up. They've been able to use the ball. They overlap run, as we're talking about. Gold Coast Suns look like they're struggling to run off their own half-back, but this is great overlap run into support, then use the ball instead of blazing away. A bit of composure to hit up inside 50, and then he looked, and every right to have a look, see if there's an option forward, but he went back and took the pressure on himself and took all his time, and Kent just converted one from outside 50. So spot on, great start to the last.
Who's doing the whispering as well? Cam Moody told him left post.
Well, that's right. We've got 2 whisperers. I just... Derm's the only one getting paid.
Hey. He's a thumping kick, though, Kent, isn't he? He really gives it to the belly of the ball.
And Witts brought it down, but Swallow was just slung into the ground by Gresham. A careless free kick to give away. And it'll come back to the co-captain.
Archie could have got cleaned up then. He was just running away with the ball, waiting for the umpire.
So Swallow with the entry. Big climb by Marsh, an effective spoil as well. Still alive, though, for Holman to go for home. Over the top, how's the bounce? All the way through. There's a bonus for the Suns, and Nick Holman is making things happen.
Hit the nail on the head. Bonus goal there. It's very difficult. You get snap goals if you go front and centre and you get good space around you. But front and centre packs 50 metres out from goal, and a snap, that's an absolute bonus.
Yeah, just hacks that one forward, and Brown not back on the goal line, couldn't get a hand on it. I think he thought that's going to hit the post or go through for a behind, and it's just kicked a little left. Good contest. Clean pickup,
wasn't it?
2 steps around on the left.
You'd almost call him the Mr. Consistent, wouldn't you, what he's doing, the former Blue for the Suns? He seems to give this kind of effort week in, week out.
Yeah, it can be a leading target inside 50, but really good at ground level. So he's been a good addition over the last 18 months.
Oh.
He's another good story too, isn't he?
Yeah, second chance.
Persistence for young men who are out there who see their dream go up in a puff of smoke at the first time they get drafted, will attempt to get drafted.
Witts able to bring it down. Got away from Dunstan a little. Martin crashing in. And Billings, no free kick as Powell didn't give one away. Sexton being corralled by McKenzie. And the Suns get another one into the breeze. Swallow. Tackle looked to have slipped a little high by Dunstan.
So again, just watch the Suns. They don't want to get the ball on the outside. Witts gets his hand to the ball on 80% of the occasions in this situation, keeps it inside.
They've got a lot of those inside kind of players as well. Brody, Swallow. And they get some outside work quickly on the boot, and playing in front was Armitage ahead of day.
Been handy across half-back, Armitage.
Yeah, I wonder how long that cramp is going to stay off.
Or he's got 5 minutes to do his best.
Gresham goes wide to Kent.
Increased his rating as the game's gone on, Kent.
Witts is 50 metres down the line, so you can't just bomb it long. That's good use.
Wow. Marshall all alone. Had the height mismatch against Powell, his nearest opponent.
Now, Jack Nunes has gone back and pushed forward, and they've only got the 1 target down there, or 2 targets with Membry and Bruce.
Looking right into the sun. Lukosius selected to punch. He tried to soccer that, and that was the wrong choice.
Did it come off the Suns player, though? I think he might have kicked it into him.
I reckon it's off the
I reckon
Saints
it's
player, wasn't
no,
it?
no.
Nunes wants the footy.
I think Nunes off the ground into the Suns player.
Into the Suns' leg. It did.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a St Kilda free kick.
Yep, but it's going the other way. Is it? Now the overrule, and maybe they looked up at the big screen, did they, and got the tip that it should be a St Kilda kick.
Well, you can't do that, can you? You can't go to the
Well, you
videotape.
Technically you can't, but they have.
And the kick is a handy one. It's a memory.
This could be costly. I mean, it's the right decision.
So with Moon's theory, if he aims at the far goal post, it will, as he watches the ball go away, drift a little bit left to right, Cameron.
Yeah, well, this close, I reckon you've almost got to punch it here. I reckon he's going to go the left foot snap, so we won't have to worry about it, Dave.
I wouldn't be giving away the goal face here.
Membry, 2 in that third quarter, won't bring it back in time. He's through for a minor score.
These are nervous moments for the Suns.
Lukosius picked 2 last year, taking his fair share of kick-ins in this game.
Well, the Harbrow and Weller run off half-backs dried up.
Right up, yep.
Gee, Archie, that's precise kicking, isn't it, from a former pick 8.
On cue.
Yep, Weller long down the line, and Hunter Clark able to keep it in. He had support as well. Little 1-2 with Marshall, and drops it into a hole, but getting the body in there was Ellis. Flicks it over the top. McPherson. Witch trying to keep it alive. Bit scrappy out there behind. And now Akers. Bit of space.
Oh.
Can't get it over the top of Powell, who stuck the mark.
2-on-1 situation. Powell in the middle of the 2 Saints. Really important.
Lukosius working his way up the ground.
Harbrow's worked really hard to drag Brown out of space, and Harbrow will go straight off the ground.
Just overhit again. Holman, the intended target.
And that's not a bad miss when we talk about, again, where you're happy to miss the target. That's a good miss, because now it's gone forward 50 metres, it's out of bounds.
And you can defend it.
Exactly what the Suns want. Now they'll tap inside, scrap it forward. They want a forward 50 stoppage from this next play.
All of the fans who've turned out at Riverway Stadium are engrossed right now. Game on the line in the final quarter. Powell didn't quite keep it in.
And when you mentioned Harbrow dragged Nathan Brown out of the forward line and then went to the bench, Brandy looked over his shoulder and thought, no, I'm going too.
70 metres back to my spot.
He doesn't spend too much time on the interchange bench.
That's what made me watch and notice.
Sinclair back to Savage, across his body to a one-on-one. Ellis only eyes for Kent. Left it for Homsch. Parker all over him. Ballard quick scoop up to Ellis, who tried to run around Gresham. He's going to get away with that one. The fans who had the best view thought Gresham should have got a free kick there.
Several times today you've seen Parker close down the footy in the opposition because of his pace. Once again there, see, he's Johnny on the spot last one there, but his closing pace is incredible.
Witts nudged Marshall underneath it. Now a 2-on-1. Dropping in the hole with Sinclair, couldn't complete the mark. Swallow tried to straighten up, but the kick is wide.
It's a great result.
I know they want their forward 50 stoppages, but that's ridiculous. You probably still have the shot.
2 years ago, the game plan of Port Adelaide. Kick to the pockets.
Deep to the pockets, yeah.
Lock it in, pressure up behind it, get repeat shots.
Changed.
Yeah.
Now the umpires might ping you for that if they know it's a game plan. Yeah. Here's Billings, who's the leading possession getter on the ground with 26.
Well, the whole thing now from coaches is more around risk, around how they defend.
Minimise it.
Yeah, before they actually work out how they're going to score.
Marshall worked his way to front position that time. He's right up there in the ranking points, as you just saw. Is that out of bounds on the full? Close run thing. The Saints asked for it, but Brody given the benefit.
And some teams don't want to go too fast off their back line, because if they turn the ball over, it will expose their back half. So they go slower to make sure it's set up behind them in case they turn large.
Gee, that's a shallow throw in. The ruckman had to wipe out a few of the on-ballers there to work their way to the position of the drop. Now Weller ahead of Hind. He'll be closing that space. Weller good enough to show him a trick or two. Well played, Lockie Weller. Now Archie. Out the back, there's a chance brewing perhaps for the Suns. Sexton, who's been quiet today, applying the tackle on Gresham. Swallow Sexton now is his time. Touched off the boot again. We've seen a few of those.
He is such a good shot at goal, though, from the snap, isn't he?
Snap
watch this little shimmy, the shake and bake. That is a real shake and bake.
That's elite.
Membry again.
Great running from Marshall here. Just putting the afterburners off and putting pressure on Witts forward.
Oh, Akers. And a clean bowled Kent. Another one of those kicks that Cam Mooney spoke about at three-quarter time. St Kilda unable to give their teammates the best opportunity. As Kent leaves it behind, Fiorini trying to hunt it down. Went in on Hind and Billings stuck that tackle.
I must say, when that ball came out of the kick-in, seeing the Suns trying to defend and run down the outcoming ball, they looked desperately tired.
Can they hold on? Marshall got it as far as Akers. They like it in this guy's hands. Gresham broke one tackle, set sail from 55. Oh, he thought he was a chance there, White, as he brought it to ground level.
Just the height of Lukosius bothered him. Probably would have been best trying to get under him, move him a bit sideways, but he played it well, Lukosius.
Goes right down the guts. Interesting kick at this stage of the game. They lead by a goal right now. They've turned it over. Wilkie has time to assess the options. Goes for Parker. Free kick picked out. It's going the way of St Kilda.
No, he just got the drop on him, and I won't say panicked or fear, but in the literal sense, there was just a bit of fear he was going to let his opponent get to the ball, White, before him. So it just grabs on a little bit.
So he spent a long time on the interchange bench. He spent a long time in the VFL waiting for this opportunity again at AFL level, and he couldn't level the scores.
Let's have a look at the free kick. Oh, he's pulled the jumper there, stretched the jumper there. He actually played it all right, the coach. Bad luck.
Big climb by Day, as Lynchy identified earlier. He's jumping again. Great sign for him. Very high draft pick a long time ago now. Umpire was circling, but he will ball it up.
So a bit stiff not to get paid the mark there.
Very stiff.
Yeah,
asking that question. Asking the very question. Thought he had 4 or 5 grabs and actually brought it to ground.
Day brought it down that time. Swallows kick. Fiorini trying to get there. Worried about soccering across the boundary line, aren't they? Taking short steps at the end.
Let's have a look. Remember the old days of 3 bites of the cherry? 1, 2, 3,
cop as well.
4, 5. Never controlled it, which has probably drifted more to that as an adjudication these days.
They bring it down, but Brodie unable to hunt it down.
So you look at Sam Day, who is capable in the ruck. What he does is he likes to get to the front and he open flat hands down directly in front of him. That's his go-to action when he's trying to ruck. Bruce will push and shove, try and get under the armpit and knock it straight down.
Brought it down with the 2 hands, trying to slap it towards Gresham was Dunstan, but picked off by the Suns. Here's a couple of one-on-ones down the line. King, a hopeful slap at the footy. Now Armitage trying to find that leg speed again after that cramp in the 3rd term. Nunes, interesting handball. It was perfect for Dunstan to run onto. Hind is ushering him on. Now there's a big chance for Parker. And in the pocket, it's Membry.
He's got options, but he decides to take it on himself. They're just getting away. Joyce could not hold the ball up in the middle of the ground. And that dangerous handball you spoke about, Speedy, it went. And it went, and it went deep into forward 50 after Joyce couldn't intercept that handball.
Tell you what, that pickle juice must go well. David Armitage hasn't missed a beat since a little 60 ounce.
I'll try and get some sent up.
This is pretty amazing, isn't it? 1 out of 8 converted from this range at all grounds around the country. But he makes a mockery of that, and he gives St Kilda the lead from 31 points down.
They've trailed all day. The Gold Coast Suns kicked the first 4 goals and sort of really dominated the first quarter, and they've just been able to scrap their way back from when trailing 31 points early in the 3rd term. But there again, the run on the back of mistakes from the Gold Coast Suns, running in waves. They had plenty of options going through. In the end, it was Membry from Parker. and then he went back and kicked that one. There's been some errant shots at goal, but that was a great hit.
Well, the Suns got the jump on St Kilda in the opening term, kicking with the breeze. But now St Kilda, midway through the final term, have finally hit the front. Look at this score worm. It opened up to 31 points when they kicked the first 2 in the third term, the Gold Coast Suns, but now a little bit of red at the bottom there. Bounced off the hands of Ross, allowing Brodie to go to Fiorini. Little 1-2, and now the run from Weller on the outside. Miles, bit of room over the top now. And leading into the pocket was Wright, overhit.
There he is.
Armitage again.
Played that like a midfielder.
Yep.
Intercepting, intercepting midfielder. The 12.5-minute mark of the third quarter, the Saints have, since then till now, the Saints have kicked 6 goals to the Suns 2.
And Membry's worked his way into the top 10 in the Coleman medal race now, up to 24 for the season, 3 today as well, the leading goal kicker in this game.
Both players playing a spare back. Harbrail is the spare for the Gold Coast.
Bruce into the ruck. Ross to the voice of Dunstan. Bit of room to move as well. And the kick landed inside the boundary line. Yep, it's that kind of ball game when these two teams square off. St Kilda by 1, 2 and 1 now. Can they win another tight one? What a spot to watch footy from the hill in Townsville. And plenty of close-up action right now. Fanning themselves, understandably.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely a warm day out there. That breeze would be handy just to cool things off a little for the fans.
And it is the home ground of the Thuringowa Bulldogs, a real powerhouse that's dropped off a little bit in recent times, but what a place to play footy week in, week out for the Bulldogs. And I think we saw their players on the hill then a moment ago, but now cutting a swathe through the middle of Riverway Stadium was Ross. A little bit of body work by Whites, and he won't be able to keep it in.
That's one of those traps again. Bursting out of the centre, you've got all the run, and they opt for the 65-metre directional kick through the air instead of spotting up somebody 25 metres away who takes a simple 45-metre shot.
And that one looked like a fatigued shot.
Yeah.
Running out on his feet, just thinking, I've got to get rid of this.
Wright brought it down. Well played by Holmes. Got down low and tries the barrel outside a defensive 50. Held up on the breeze again. So that inside 50 count in this final quarter has been dominated by St Kilda. Here comes another one. Billings having a shot. The fans like it. He is all class, Jack Billings. What a huge goal in every respect for St Kilda.
Well, they've been on the ropes for 40 minutes, the Suns, and now the Saints are starting to land some haymakers, and they're just rolling back. They're probably rolling back too deep now, the Suns, to defend, and so they're getting numbers around the ball, the St Kilda Footy Club, and they've certainly got more run late in this game.
Now watch, I think it's Hunter Clark here. The ball comes to him, just there. Go, he was thinking about the snap, but an expert handball sideways.
Off a couple of steps, the top-ranked player on the ground makes it 30 possessions, 1 goal, 1. Jack Billings is loving the role that he's been given by Richo.
Yeah, high-class finish by him. And Jack was one of those players that struggled last week in Shanghai. Just played, but certainly was struggling with illness.
Oh, look at all that space. Took a little while to twig. Now he can go for goal from 50.
I think it was Weller came off him, just charged into the centre of that old ploy of trying to flush numbers through there.
Parker a little late reacting, wasn't he? Now Holman nudged his man under the ball. Battle puts a body on him now, allowing Savage to keep it in. Broke the tackle and went to Hind. Impressive debut. He's got composure. Sinclair back to Brown. He's got another man behind him, but Day kept the pressure on. Ball stays in. Long down the line. Savage has to go. And Brodie came around to get the fisting.
Some real fatigue into both teams now.
Billings only the 14 touches against Port Adelaide. He certainly had a dramatic lift in impact in this game, up to 30 now and 1 goal.
Gresham so clean, but the tackle was applied, and Martin gets it on the boot in a hurry. They've got a spare man down back St Kilda with his lead, but McPherson at ground level had support. Alongside him was Sexton. Time to straighten up. He elects to just tumble it through. He knows what he's capable of. He knows what's in the locker, and what a finish that was.
He just went to the top shelf. That's his go-to bat.
In motion, I don't think there's a better snap of the footy or rushed kick at goal shooting from 25 to 40 metres than this bloke.
If you have a look at his goals this year, and he's kicked quite a few, half of his goals would have been snaps on the right foot, over his left shoulder. Probably even more dramatic than that, but he's very efficient at converting those opportunities.
He's top 10 in the Coleman race as well. Alex Sexton, 24 this year. Jason Dunstall's thinking, what about that finish?
Wasn't exactly a dribble.
Through.
It was a punch that bounced a couple of times. There's a difference between snap and rushed kicks. He gets a lot accurately away at goals, but are rushed kicks as well as snaps.
Slipped off the hand of Witts. Miles is so strong. Got a boot to it in the end. Marshall, his second efforts after the ruck work. Very impressive indeed. Breaks the way of Savage. Look at the gang tackle, but it was a sloppy one by Martin. He knew it.
Witts is hurt. He went down in that centre
he's
circle.
limping badly here at the moment, Lynchy.
Yeah, spot on. Hopefully, he grabbed at his knees. Hopefully, he's okay.
Short handball by Ross.
Might have been a knock to the knee in the contest, I think.
Just one of those. Sometimes it can be a PCL injury when the two ruckmen just crack in, two shins hit.
Yeah, he's confident he can continue. He's not heading for the interchange bench as they get it in the hands of Harbrow. Swallow. Oh, he elected the kick. He was running out of room.
To what Marsh has done physically in the second half, his ability to place body pressure on opponents around him has spoiled a lot of kicks going forward, similar to that one.
Homsch leading Marshall to it.
You touched on it before, Durham. Young King, he's just hands on hips at the moment. In the last few 2 or 3 contests that have come down the line, he's being pushed under the ball. These are all the learning experiences for him. But this is where it is really hard now for the Suns to score because their big guys are getting tired.
He was doing the scoring early on. Young Ben King, there's a better mark by Bruce. Looking to play on, takes some weight off it. Membry favoured by the kick. Oh, it took a Gold Coast bounce. Look out, you're in trouble. Gone.
Thought his opponent had disappeared.
The advantage taken as well after Lukosius was hunted down, and look who's got it again.
He did really well to Lukosius to come off his man to pick it up. Then just a lack of awareness and the speed of the game.
He knew he'd passed Membry.
Yeah.
And in his mind, he'd said, I'm free, I'm running out. I'm going to look what I'm going to do with it.
He was thinking this time last year playing under 18s.
Yeah, he forgot about White trailing him out.
So Billings kicked a big goal on a similar angle earlier on. And he's got another one too. Big goals in the final term from Jack Billings, breaking this game open.
You did right though, I said it, and we're not hanging it on the kids.
Oh no,
this is the difference between
That's
playing
great.
under 18. This is fantastic. He just forgot that the pressure. They don't give up on the chase at league footy. Under 18 kids, the player who was playing White's position is probably heading back towards the goal line.
That's a really important answer for the Saints as well. After the Gold Coast Suns were able to kick one to narrow it back to 2 points, but now 8 points is going to be tough.
And what about the Saint thinking, do I take the advantage here? Yes, it's Billings that I'm kicking to. I'll just lob it over to him rather than let White go back and take the kick.
Good move in the end. This is going to be an interesting jump for Big Witsy with that sore knee.
Tipping the motion into him. Yeah.
Different angle by Marshall, played it well. Keeping after it, McPherson, good second effort. Free kick going which way?
St Kilda free kick.
Yeah, Witsy's jumped in today's over. He's just going to step over the line, clash shoulders with Marshall and try and outreach him.
A big iceberg coming in on that occasion, just clearing the way.
32 touches now for Billings. Clark running onto the 1-2. Day applied the pressure, and as a result, the Suns create a turnover.
Yeah, they keep bringing the pressure now. They're trying to answer everything that St Kilda are throwing at them.
No.
Got extra run. Oh,
Day done a hammy.
He's grabbing at his
grabbing
high
at it.
hamstring, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Clark's worried about an ankle as Day applied that tackle. Both men coming off second best.
So that's Witzy's opponent. Just could not get there. Went parallel, went side onto the footy rather than getting down the line.
Well, Day's not coming off the ground, so that's probably good news. Because if it's hamstring, you just got to get off.
And Hunter Clark's back on his own 2 feet, but he is hobbled right now. Such a shame for him.
He might have some problems with that right ankle.
Harbrow's kick. Oh, reading it best. Over the top, Marshall. And he pumps it long. That kick's gone about 65. Inside forward 50, but Harbrow a little bit of shake and bake. A fumble, though, at the key moment. Allowed Parker to go in on Ellis. Now Savage gets it deep. Big chance here, and reading it best.
Can I just, before we move on to this mark by White, Lukosius then was fantastic.
Yeah, he was.
His spoilie came out. He surveyed the ground around him. He saw he had numbers, superior numbers at the front, and he two-handed spoiled the ball forward down to teammates. Well done, Jack Lukosius. It's come back with interest, I know, but looking at it and working out whether he can play or not, the kid's got some huge talents.
Has he learnt from his previous shot? Brandon White's only kicked 1 goal before in his AFL career.
Same kick.
Cuts it. He cuts underneath the ball.
Here's where the damage was done earlier.
They might have just got a bit of a corky, Sam Day, when he went down on the high hamstring buttock.
The Suns have to take the game on, and Day takes the mark. Savage got out of there before conceding 50. And they get it wide to Archie. Suns have to take the game on. St Kilda will try and hold them up. Powell takes it on the chest ahead of Marsh. They've got a few numbers in the pocket here. Some blocking going on. Brown broke even. Left it behind for McPherson, did St Kilda, though. Now breaking the way of Holman. Trying to play for a free kick. Poached clear of Martin's grasp. Sexton back towards Day, who's recovered really well from holding that high hamstring a moment ago.
The initial kick that goes in, if it's not Nathan Brown standing underneath that footy, the Saints get scored against. He's the only one physically strong enough for taking on 2 in the air and halving the contest.
Yeah, only Harris Andrews has more 1%ers a game than Nathan Brown. Tackle looked to have slipped a little high from Holman.
Strong tackle. Speedy just counted your gold. A bit of extra gold to them.
I think it was better gold.
It was good. Very crisp.
Witt's trying to come over the top. And Fiorini had one arm pinned by Gresham. Well, they need to go bang-bang to win this game. The Gold Coast Suns.
Jack Martin will get on the move here.
Hands on hips at the moment now. He does make his move. Swallow was trying to get on the outside. Martin tracked it down. Not a lot of room there as he flicked it out towards Archie. He couldn't get it on the boot either. McPherson pokes it clear of the traffic all the way back to Ballard. Oh, he turned his way into a bit of room and found a teammate. Well played, young Ballard, to find Miles.
I love Milesy. I love him. But if I had to pick out of the 22 to kick for me in the Suns...
Where's he rank?
Oh, somewhere between 18 and 22. But he might give us his very, very best, Lynchy.
Well, he's been around long enough. I think he'll go back and suck up this pressure and just slot this one through.
I hope he
Bring
does.
it down to the last roll of the dice for both teams.
He's a ripper, Milesy.
2 behinds today, no majors. Anthony Miles, what a strike! Yes! It's game on in the final 2.5 minutes again between these two.
Round 1 was 1 point, round 13 last year 2 points. Now the difference currently is 3 points, and again free kick. We saw Jack Martin was mobile through that. Now they had the spares back. Now Ballard, there is a reasonable chance he didn't see Miles when he slapped it on the left shoe here. Didn't know where he was going, just bonks it forward. That is an inside 50 hit target.
Connection.
Yeah.
You were just waiting for Ballard to get swamped.
Oh, yeah,
went the one way.
He just went around, but importantly, Miles went back and took the shot and converted.
Fantastic, Milesy, but Ballard didn't panic. That was the main thing that I'm seeing in Ballard's game in that particular passage.
Both ruckmen coming off the long run this time. Marshall got the wrong side of Witts. Bit of room here for Ross. He's told to go forward. He found a man in space. It was the ruckman.
It's kick for the pocket.
Following through. Can they keep it in? Bruce will have scored it.
He's gone the barrel.
He deliberately kicked for the pocket. What we were talking about before, there was no intention there to kick at the goal face. He speared a mongrel talk into the pocket deliberately.
Is there a game plan that we're seeing here today? Great ruck work. Down to Harbrow. Tumbles one inside the centre square. Going in low was Miles. Hall and Smith. And now flicked up towards Savage. Look at all the bodies here inside the final 2 minutes. Desperation. Handball picked off by Lukosius. Ellis. Lukosius again. Ball slips out. Umpire letting things go until now.
It's a scrap. Both teams desperate for a win. 8 losses in a row, the Gold Coast Suns. They're desperate for a win, as are the Saints.
So what we're seeing here, just out of picture, the Saints got one extra behind play, which means the Suns have got one more at the ball.
Ross with the entry this time. Bouncing ball. Membry has plenty of runners going onto it, but Ballard emerges again, 19 years of age. Standing up for the Suns down the stretch. Pow! What a leap over the top. He has to go again, though. St Kilda have the numbers here. It breaks the way of Kent. Sits up nicely for him as well, as though he ordered that bounce. Good fist over the top from Joyce. Legs wiped out, but now big chance here to perhaps seal it. Sinclair looks for a teammate, pulls it back intelligently and finds his man.
That's a good hit. I think he had every right to have a shot for goal, but he's hit up his big full forward.
But what he does, he gives him 30 seconds off the clock.
Does, which desperately is required for the midfielders and for the scoreboard as well.
I can't remember who it was in the scrimmage. Hit the Seb Ross's handball off ground level to the outside. Along the deck, laced up a teammate to take it on to Sinclair.
This is his kind of spot. 11 goals for historically. Membry could seal it. Makes the goal umpire work too much, so the Suns have to go coast to coast in 22 seconds, and Weller knows that.
Look for Witts down the middle. Here it is.
Oh, it drops in the lap of that man again, Miles. Oh, nearly 50 against Dunstan. And now the spare down back is going to take the mark. Dropped it. Suns still a chance. Savage gets it clear. Seconds ticking away. Free kick going the way of the Suns, but there's no time. Siren about to sound. Ball in the hands of the former Townsville grammar student. They need a mark here. Spoiled by the Saints, and they hold on again. They beat the Suns by less than a kick for the 3rd time in a row. And Richo needed that one.
Courageous win from the Saints. 31 points down midway through the 3rd quarter, and they've fought their way back. That is season-saving stuff. They would have gone 5-7 and lose touch with the top 8. Now 6-6, and they're within touching distance of the top 8. A lot of pressure's been on the club, but that is a first-class win in tough conditions on a hot day.
Isn't that fantastic? A couple of mates who were teammates at another club, and arm in arm they go off after belting the living daylights out of each other for the afternoon, but just a little bit young on some moments here, the Gold Coast Suns.
So 9 losses in a row for the Suns, and the Saints square the ledger at 6-6, and they play host to the Lions next week at Marvel Stadium. Thanks for joining us in Townsville. Another cliffhanger won by the Saints.